Protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. Tiny terror in the tree line cuts. He'll drop from a power line, show you what's riding his hip. Thumb stud flipper, front flick spine. He lives for that perfect click. Spreading word to the backyard crew. Check this edge, feel that grind. Every acorn, every review, carved with a steel tooth mine. Whoa. He's the EDC Squirrel, stashing the bark. Blade in the daylight, blade in the dark. From the curb to the cul-de-sac rut, sharpen your wits end. Protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. Tiny terror in the tree line cuts. Climb high, tree line thrown in the storm. Cold bite, metal heart staying warm. If you mess with a scribe or his heart, you'll hear one battle cry roar. From the brush, protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. He's the EDC Squirrel, stashing the bark. Blade in the daylight, blade in the dark. From the mail call crate to the gutter front rut, sharpen your wits end. Protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. Protect your nuts. A little legend with the pocket cut guts. Boom.
Hey, it's the EDC Squirrel here, and we're back for another Saturday knife chat. Hope everybody's doing okay. It is Saturday the 15th. Huh. 10 days after my birthday. Oh God, I'm old now. But glad to be here. Glad to continue doing this. I know things have slowed down tremendously. I've mentioned it before. There's a lot of things going on, but I'm doing everything I can to keep this alive because I love doing this. This is just a fun thing for me to do. Chat with people that have similar hobbies and things, and I learn stuff all the time. In fact, I was just reading some comments and I was learning something already right there in regards to Ultim and what Ultim consists of and all that stuff. Did not know that. I'm not going to reiterate the info because I just realized they closed the comment and I retained like a portion of it. I'm going to look at it again. But it's something I didn't know. I'm always learning something new. This is one of the reasons why I love doing this channel, is because I'm learning a ton every time I get a chance to talk to everybody and chat with people who come in and everything. Jeff Gage, thank you for coming in. Really appreciate you being here. So yeah, I know things have slowed down. I have really had no time to pump out videos except for doing the lives, but I'm going to continue to try to do at least the lives, and then hopefully things will get better and I can jump in and do more stuff with more videos and concentrating on more new knives and stuff like that. In the meantime, like I said, just having pretty much random knife chat. This week's been kind of killer and been all over the place, kind of like last week. So didn't really have any specific or particular subject in line, so kind of keeping it random, and for today anyway. And we're gonna go show off some new stuff that I got, not a lot, but a couple new things that I got, as well as do some knife maintenance, maybe do some sharpening, and whatever else happens to come to mind, or whatever else somebody wants to talk about and chat with. And we'll go as long as we can. I don't know how long this one's going to be today, because today's also going to be a really busy day. Been rushing all over the place getting things done, but like I said, wanted to keep this thing going, so here I am. In the meantime, before we start, I'm going to pull out what my EDC is for today. It's been relatively consistent this last week, and I just realized I left one of the items still in my pocket. I'm not going to go grab it because I've got another similar knife that I was carrying anyway. And what I had in my pocket today, if you want to share whatever your current EDC is, either for today or for the last week, I was carrying my Spyderco PM3 salt in MagnaCut. Hey, Co-Bunnies, you're always carrying the Raja too. I have no idea how you manage to fit that in your pocket. But my carry was the Spyderco PM3 salt, and that's in MagnaCut, as well as now the one that I was carrying actually was I believe it was my Kieranite Sodbuster Jr. I wasn't carrying this one, but similar. It's just the other one is still currently in my pocket. And I'm not wearing those jeans at the moment. But otherwise, it was a Crossroads Sodbuster Jr. Fairly similar. The one that I have in my pocket is the Kieranite version. This is the burlap micarta version with the green G10 liners, S35 VN steel. Awesome blade. I love the Crossroads for everyday carry. They're some of my favorite carries. And if I'm not carrying that new pen light that I have with me, I was carrying my Olight Arc Pro Ultra, because there's several versions of this thing. This is their top line flashlight model, the Arc Pro Ultra, because I believe there's like an Arc Field Pro, Arc Field Ultra, an Arc Pro. There's a bunch. This was probably their priciest model. I just wanted one with all the bells and whistles. That was in my pocket as well. That was my carry for the majority of the week, I'd have to say. German Eye is what you carried over. Yeah, I know you love your German Eye. I haven't carried that often. I should carry it more. Usually I'm carrying, well, you guys have seen, I'm carrying a lot of case. I like carrying the Crossroads. I do a lot with my Crossroads. This has been used a lot, but surprisingly doesn't show much wear. I think I've dropped this maybe a few times, or honed it a few times, dropped it a few times. Never had to really redo the edge on this one. Same thing with the one that I currently have in my pocket, which is one of the reasons why I love the Crossroads. And this one is just, I don't know. I carry a flashlight because, oh my God, the amount of times that a flashlight has come in handy, I can't count enough times how often I've been like, I really need a light, and I'm so glad I've got this light that I'll carry in my pocket, like as a main light, and then I have other lights, like I got a light on my keychain. I keep an emergency light in my vehicle. The light is very useful. It helps a ton. Venetian 1 is going to be 7 inches. I don't know how you're going to carry that, but good luck to you on that one. Crow's Blades, how you doing? Nice to see you. Zach Kennard, how are you doing? Happy Saturday, everybody. So, yeah, what do you have in your pocket? What was your EDC for today or this week? This was mine for this week. I have a very good reason for carrying, actually, the PM3. And I'll probably be carrying this or the Sage 5 quite a bit often. And I always carry a Modern, you know that. I always carry a slip joint in conjunction with my Modern. And I also always try to have a flashlight on me. My slip joints tend to do most of the work. I usually keep my Moderns for emergency cases, or if I am currently like I have one hand occupied, then I'll have the Modern out, because obviously one hand is occupied and I can't use two hands to open the slip joint. So that's the reasoning for me. 2 is 1, 1 is none is another reasoning, and that's why I've got those. The reason why I've been carrying the PM3 and the Sage 5, and I carry a very particular Sage 5, and that's the Sage 5 Light or Salt, Light Salt, also in MagnaCut. This is another favorite of mine to carry, is because, as some of you may know, I was diagnosed recently with carpal tunnel, and I had suddenly lost a lot of strength in my fingers. Now I've gained a little bit back. I have surgery coming up later this month, which is another thing that's going to kind of slow the channel down a little bit. But it was really weird because now, if you're familiar with a PM3, it's not a very difficult knife to operate. But I remember it was like a few weeks ago, went from having no problem, use my left hand here, having no problem, just my usual thing, flicking this thing open. And then I remember picking a knife up that I use all the time. I can't remember which one it was, to be quite honest. I just remember it had, I might have been a Seagull, that Kaiser Seagull. And I remember grabbing the Seagull, going to open it. I went to reverse flick it like I always do. And then I realized all my strength from that finger was gone. The PM3, I couldn't even flick open. Like doing this, what felt impossible. Like I just could not open it. Now I'm right-handed. And if for those that are familiar with the PM3, it's not a very hard knife to just reverse flick open. It's actually probably one of the easiest knives for me to flick open, partially because of that hole, the strength of the detent and everything. I could not for the life of me open this thing up. It just felt impossible. I had lost all strength when it came. And like I could do gross motor movements, whatever, fine. Move my wrist. But as soon as I went to do a pinch, as soon as I went to flick open a knife, it was like, nope, you now have baby hands. And went to the doctor, I actually had some tests done. They did an EMG. Now, if you're familiar with an EMG, first part was actually kind of fun, kind of tickled a little bit. Second part sucked ass. I mean, if you need to have the test done, do it. Just know it's not going to be the most pleasant thing because they shock your hand. That was the fun part because my hand was doing weird things when they were shocking it. The part that sucked was they started sticking needles in various parts of my hand, arm, and even my neck. And that hurt, especially when they stuck a needle in the ear. I was not happy with that part. But it was determined I had pretty serious enough carpal tunnel that they stated I need to have surgery, as soon as possible. So that way, the reason being is to prevent any permanent damage to my hand. Now, there's a good chance that I'm going to regain strength and stuff in this hand. But if I wait too long, that damage becomes permanent, and no amount of surgery, nothing is going to bring that back, short of getting a new cybernetic hand. But I've been getting some of my energy back, or some of my strength back, like I said. So I've been carrying the PM3 and the Sage 5 because they're the only knives currently that I can now open with my right hand. I'm back to being able to open at least my PM3 and Sage 5. Anything else, though, if I try to flick open like I used to, like here's the Mannix 2. I can't. I can barely, like, I don't know how to explain it, because it looks like I'm not doing anything, but I am trying as freaking hard as I can to flick this open. Oh, I got it. Not easy. And like I said, I lost a lot of strength there. I'm happy to have gained some of it back. Even pinching was really hard. I don't know. When I'm opening this, like even pinching it closed, I was holding it weird for a good long time because even pinching the compression lock was difficult for me to do. Now, like I said, it's a little bit, still a little bit awkward, but a little bit better. So I'm actually really ecstatic about that. I feel great that I got some of my strength back, but I'm still scared because I'm right-handed. So that severe loss of strength in my hand it's really scary. And I admittedly, I mean, I'm your typical guy. I mean, I get there's twofold things. I'm a caregiver. My girlfriend's disabled, so I do everything at home. And So there's a lot of doctor visits. I'm taking her to doctors, and there's procedures and stuff. Admittedly, because I'm doing a lot of that for her, I tend to ignore my own shit, and I know I shouldn't be doing that. So I see so many doctors for her sake, or driving her to doctor visits and stuff for her sake. As soon as something happens to me, I'm your typical guy where it's rub some dirt on it and keep walking. So I ignored a lot of signs like numbness. There's going to be interesting numbness you're going to feel, or tingly, like pins and needles. And there's two nerves that control your, two major nerves that control your hand. The first 3 digits in your thumb, or first 2 digits in your thumb, or that'd be 3 digits. Your thumb, forefinger, middle finger, all one group. Pinky and your ring finger, another group. I found out that I have it, like I said, diagnosed with carpal tunnel, a median nerve, which controls, it was these 3 fingers. Okay. And, I was getting numbness and tingling, pins and needles here, and also pins and needles and numbness here, which are controlled by an ulnar nerve, which is, I guess there's some compression that was happening near my elbow. So I've got a few issues going on, but they're going to treat my carpal tunnel. I'm going to go through surgery. But if you got that numbness, if you get the tingle, numbness or the pins and needles a lot in your hand, and you're having, you're doing, because I do a lot of computer work. And okay, consider this a PSA. I do a lot of computer work. And if you're getting that numbness or those pins and needles a lot in your hand, you find yourself having to shake out or shake off your hand a lot. And if it's becoming more and more frequent, go to your doctor, get it checked. Seriously. Because for me, with the testing, I am past the point where, say, steroid injections and maybe some PT could have alleviated this issue. But according to the tests, I'm past that. So my only option to prevent permanent damage is surgery. Now, it's a surgery they do all the time. It's a surgery that they're, very familiar with. So I have no real fear about how they handle surgery. But, it's scary when all of a sudden, like, I use chopsticks a lot because I just enjoy eating ramen with chopsticks. Picking up a pair of chopsticks that you've been using for years, and suddenly it's like you can't even hold the chopsticks, gets really, really scary. Yeah, it's crows. Exactly. You have to, and that's another thing. You have to take care of yourself first, especially if you're a caregiver, or it's that whole airplane rule. When this is another reason why I don't fly. But if the oxygen masks ever come down, they tell you to put your oxygen mask first. Put on your oxygen mask first before helping anybody else, because if you're not in a good enough position, like if you're not keeping yourself capable of doing it, you won't be able to help anybody else. The same thing with everything else in life. Take care of yourself first, and then you'll be able to help other people to even better capacity, and either more people, or just you can handle things for people better if you take care of yourself first. It sounds selfish. I am horrible at words right now. It sounds selfish, but it's not. Helping yourself first allows you to help others better. And yes, I admit I was neglecting that part because, tingly, sleepy, or what do you call that? Pins and needles, numbness. I didn't think too much of it. It wasn't, to me, a major sign. And now I'm learning that even little signs like that, I probably should not have ignored. But I've got that scheduled for the 26th. That's part of the reason things have slowed down, because I've been trying to save. Because I know for me, I haven't paid my deductible. So what would normally be like a free surgery, it's going to be really expensive because I've got my deductible and then whatever else I have to pay on top of that due to my insurance. So that's why a lot of what I normally would pick up, that has slowed down considerably. That aside, I still do get new stuff now and then. still, because I still like to put stuff aside for, I see it as like mental health maintenance. Get stuff for save some money for entertainment, whether it's for your hobby, video games, whatever, even just a little bit. It's just to help your mood out, and when you're feeling down or things seem really rough or overwhelming, even something like just getting a new deck of cards can go a long way to keep you from going completely nuck and futz. So I still put aside a little bit so that way I can treat myself, even though it might not be to the extent that I was doing before. I can still treat myself a little bit, keep my spirits up. Excuse me. So I do have a couple new things that I did get this last week. And before I forget, what was it? I don't know about Kratom. I haven't been prescribed Oxy. I can't remember the last time I've ever been prescribed Oxy. My doctor's not big on the opioids. I think they've been doing a lot of cracking down on opioids. No worries. Crow's Blades. Usually I'm like, because I've had gout flare-ups, and my doctor normally prescribes me naproxen for that, which is, if I remember correctly, it's basically like overpowered Tylenol, or just a lot of Tylenol or something like that. I can't remember. Is it acetaminophen, or I can't remember, one or the other. Oh, your ex-girlfriend, and you had to clean up after her constantly. Yeah, and it is what it is. My girlfriend has chronic pain, so a lot of times she's stuck, unable to do a lot of what she used to enjoy, which really, really sucks. So I'm doing the cooking, the cleaning. I don't mind the cooking. I enjoy cooking. Cleaning kind of sucks all the time, but it is what it is. Yeah, basically a leave. Thanks, Razor Blakes. That's what it is. A leave, essentially. I couldn't remember. I knew it was like some prescription version of an over-the-counter is basically what they've prescribed me for the gout pain. And I have no doubt I'll probably get something similar in regards to this. And if I am given something like an opioid, at least it won't be for very long. I went off on a complete off track. I don't know where I went. But yeah, these are what I was carrying today. That was my EDC. Feel free to share in your or share what was in your pocket in the chat. I love to hear it. A lot of times that's where I learn about new knives. Is when you guys share what you're carrying in your pocket. And the only downside to you guys sharing what's in your pocket is then I get really itchy to want to buy something. Yeah, you can buy naproxen over the counter, but I think there's two things. One, if it's a prescription, the majority of it's paid for. Two, I think the strengths might be a little different. If I remember correctly. Like, you can get naproxen, but it's not. It's like just a lower strength, or at least that's what I've seen. Because I looked at it myself. Because, like, is this something I can get over the counter, and is it cheaper? So thankfully, as a prescription, the prescription is cheaper, and I know you can also just get a leave essentially. You've been checking out 7+ Knives, pretty damn good for that. I'm curious about that. I've heard of 7+ Knives. There's another thing that I'm really curious about. Not curious about. I have a couple of their knives, not 7+, but Miguron has some new knives that are coming out, and they've also kind of like upped their game because of that one website called Steel Hardness Lab. And the Steel Hardness Lab, run by Taylor, he kind of does independent HRC testing for a lot of production knives. And I think part of it, if I recall, part of it was because he was curious if a lot of the HRCs that manufacturers were advertising were really what people were getting in the knives that they purchased. And so he's been doing a lot of testing, hundreds of knives tested so far. And the reason why I mentioned Miguron is Miguron actually proactively took a look at all the testing that he was doing, decided, we need to bring things back. We need to bring things up. Like they realized they could do better. And I thought they were pretty darn good already, but they started working better on increasing their treatment of their blades and things like that. And there's at least I think 2 or 3 models, I can't recall the names, that are coming out with new heat treatment, treatments for their blades, making them even better, and still keeping that amazing price point that Migrin has. So I'm just waiting for them to become available. I'd love to grab 1 or 2 of them because, I mean, price wise, they're crazy. I'm trying to remember the name of one of them, but I didn't see it out yet. I know I saw it on Knife Center, and I have it currently on my wish list. Let me look here. Give me a second. The Karak. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. If you go on Knife Center, look up Migron, and the model is called a Karak, Karok. And price on those, depending really on the scale material, range from anywhere from just under $30 to just over just under $52. Again, depending on the scale material. All D2 steel. However, the D2 steel has been the HRC on their D2 has been upped a bit. So it's now at D2's probable most optimum HRC. When you look at it, and I guess you can say a lab sort of view. And they upped their game, yet they're keeping their prices low. So I'm really excited for when those come out. I want to snag at least 1 or 2 of them just to see for myself. Razor Blake's Edge. I got scammed on whatnot. Bought 2 Benchmade Adamas minis and a Spyderco Pair 2. They were clones. Really, that is something that you kind of have to be careful of everywhere now. And it's pretty crazy. If I understood correctly, Benchmade is no longer allowing their stuff to be sold on whatnot. So if I recall, the reason being was because there were a lot of Benchmade clones going out. And so that's what I've heard. Anytime I remember for the last few weeks, anytime anybody's asked for Benchmade, I saw a lot of sellers were like, no, we can't sell Benchmade anymore. They're not allowing their stuff to be sold on there. So I'm surprised I'd be surprised to still see people selling it. And if people were selling Benchmade on whatnot, I'd be a little leery of what you're getting, just, to be on the safe side. Now, if they're proven to be clones, obviously, if they're a reputable seller, they should be able to work with you. If they're kind of shady and they're not going to work with you, Whatnot has their own protection policies. They can actually be reported in terms of, you got a clone. And I don't know exactly how it works, but I believe you may be able to get your money back through Whatnot. But I know there's a specific thing for counterfeits on Whatnot. And I try to differentiate between clones and counterfeits because I see clones, a lot of people use, and I can understand why. A lot of people use clones and counterfeits kind of interchangeably. Where clones are one thing, counterfeits are entirely to me, clones are one thing and counterfeits are entirely a different thing. Like example, this is a clone. This is a Gonzo Firebird, which is a clone of the Spyderco Delica. The thing with clones is they kind of ride a gray line because they don't advertise themselves as being Spyderco. Yeah, sure, they have some similarities. They share a lot of similarities to Spyderco. but they differentiate enough where like they're not using the Spyderco name. They have some differences on things here and there. They don't pretend to be something they're not. They're not. Gonzo's not making this knife and going, "Hey, get this Spyderco," if you know what I mean. They're not doing that. That's a clone. Counterfeit is when they're actively trying to trick you into buying something that is not what it's supposed to be. Like if a manufacturer uses somebody's logo, uses somebody's stamps, shapes it as close as possible as they can. If they're using another company's logos, that's counterfeit. That is by definition illegal to do. Counterfeit is by definition illegal to do. Clones, it's a gray area because it depends on what they're doing. If they're not trying to trick somebody into thinking it's something that it's not, technically that's they can do that within reason. Hey Terry, how you doing? Glad to see you here. So I like to differentiate between clones and counterfeit. Clones like this is surprisingly okay knife. I've had my thoughts on the Firebird myself, and I've been actually using this quite a bit, and my Delica quite a bit at home to my own little thoughts and testing on it, and it's just been kind of ongoing because I'm trying to see how long they go and how before I completely get frustrated with one or the other. Counterfeits, I just will stay away from buying if at all possible, and will report if I ever get a counterfeit in hand. Thankfully, I've been lucky. I don't believe I've gotten any counterfeits. You can always send pictures and stuff to manufacturers, and they'll help identify counterfeits for you. But Whatnot, I do believe, has a thing for counterfeit items, so I would check with Whatnot. So you did get a refund last night. Awesome. And got to keep the nut. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's a difference. Sometimes you can keep them. Sometimes they ask them to be sent in. A lot of times for investigation and stuff like that. Some clones are actually okay. The problem with the thing with clones is, like I said, as long as they're not trying to trick you into thinking there's something different. To me, they're all right. But keep in mind, there's obviously going to be differences. There's obviously going to be differences in quality. A lot of time, like for example, let's take this Gonzo versus where's my Delica? Versus the Delica. Here I got SP30 or Spy 27. Good God, Spy 27 steel. The FRN, not much to say about the FRN. Spy 27 steel, I'm finding to be excellent steel. And we have here, which is essentially, what did they say this was, 440? Yeah, 440. So you have Spy 27 steel versus 440C steel. And the other thing you have to be conscious about is steel treatment. Spyderco has been proven in terms of their heat treat and the way they treat their steels. Spyderco has been proven to do their steels at pretty much optimal heat treat or optimal treatment. I don't know about the Firebird. I believe Steel Hardness Lab did a test, and this does run pretty low. However, at the same time, this is a different steel. So keep in mind that just because HRC is high doesn't mean that's the best for that steel. Some steels you don't want to be too hard. Otherwise, they end up becoming extremely brittle. I do know that this came in, if I remember correctly, I don't remember the number offhand, but it came in kind of low even for 440C. One thing I am noticing in difference, though, is how that edge performs. Now, the Gonzo and the Spy 27, both extremely easy to sharpen. The Gonzo, even more so, very easy to hone and strop back to a razor edge. However, once, by the time I've, say, honed or stropped my Spy 27, knife. By the time I've done that once with this, I've probably done it 5 or 6 times with this. I've had to really work on maintaining this edge and to keep it sharp, because this edge does dull extremely fast. I can do like 4 or 5 times. I can cut through like maybe 4 or 5 times the amount of cardboard, if not more, with the Delica before ever having to worry about having to even strop the edge, where I'm, after a few boxes, I'm starting to get noticeable drag. It's not cutting through as quickly or as smoothly. And then I'll have to, at the very least, strop it real quick to bring the edge back. And again, it's very easy to do, but I have to do it more frequently. Now, where the decision making comes in is the Spyderco is. I'm trying to remember how much the Delica is. I know how much. Let me look, because I don't want to say the wrong number. Spyderco Delica. So right now now that's Spy 27 version. The Spy 27 version Delica, where is it? Runs on, at least on Knife Center, is coming in at $123 for this one. Okay. This one I got for less than $20. I got this thing for less than $20. So to be quite honest, it depends on how if you're fine with having to sharpen, hone, strop much more frequently, maybe the Gonzo might be more your speed, especially if you don't want to drop more than $100 on a knife. However, keep in mind that you're going to be maintaining this a lot. It probably won't last as long. Like, again, I'm starting to see a little bit of loss in steel here, not a lot, but a little bit. And you have finer QC stuff that could be an issue. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you if in terms of toughness, if this will handle stuff as hard that harder stuff that this can handle, because you gotta remember, they are using materials that are costing them less. Otherwise, I mean, how are they going to make a profit on a $20 knife unless they're cutting costs somewhere? So you got to keep that in mind. Now, maybe you're fine with every once in a while just buying a new one for $20. There's some people like me like to, I've done that before with headsets, where I've bought cheap headsets all the time, but they kept breaking within a year. I'll spend $15 on a headset because it was cheap. This, 5-6 months down the line, something happens, it broke, I have to buy another one. And I realized after a couple of years, I've spent over $100 on headsets alone, if not more so. And I finally just bit down, got myself a better quality headset. Might have spent $100, but my current headset has been going on for a good few years now, and it's been good. So it's that, where do you sit in that decision making? Do you want to spend a little bit more for a knife that is going to be good quality, that has a great warranty, company that'll back it up? Or would you rather just, every once in a while something happens to this, I'll just grab myself another $20 knife, even knowing that you're going to have to kind of be on top of it more often and make sure that, in order to make sure it stays in working quality. I actually don't have a problem with knives like this. In fact, I do like getting inexpensive knives for one particular reason, and that's just kind of hone my sharpening skills. I have a number of knives that are super inexpensive, but that gives me a chance to really practice my sharpening skills without worry that I'm gonna seriously muck up a much more expensive blade. And I've gotten a lot of good practice with this thing alone. So yeah, paying more doesn't always guarantee quality, but if you're familiar with certain brands and how they work, that peace of mind there's a greater peace of mind that you get with it. There are some brands that have kind of rose and then waned over the time that I've dealt with them. So it's not always a guarantee, but I will, the trust is going to be much greater with a well-established, known, well-known maker than it is some no-name or cheap or cheap manufacturer that just pumps them out at like $20 a piece. Like Spyderco. I mean, Spyderco, they do research. They continue to do research. They've developed a lot of the steels that are used now by a lot of different knife manufacturers. They know their stuff. I can't say much about Benchmade because I don't own any Benchmade, and I haven't been able to play around with any Benchmade nor use any Benchmade, so I can't say much about them. I do hear a lot about them being pretty inflated for the name and the materials. Spyderco, I've heard people say similar things, although I've done some dives and spoken to a lot of people, and you are paying a bit more for the Spyderco, yeah, possibly for the name, but they do have quality stuff. They make some good quality stuff. There are some things that I would like to see changed, even on Spyderco, that I've noticed in my time with using them, but I still think they're fantastic knives. Case, for all the complaints I know I've heard people say about Case, I still love their knives. And there's other manufacturers like Remet has been absolutely fantastic. I love Concept. Savivi puts out some great stuff. QSP. I can go on and on. And I'm not saying you have to spend a lot for a good knife. Do shop around. But go with known, trusted manufacturers if at all possible. At least that way you're getting a pretty decent product and usually a very good warranty. And I do try to keep my ear to the ground when I start hearing news of things like I noticed, and I have a lot of Kaiser. I'm gonna mention Kaiser here. I have a lot of Kaiser. I think they make some great knives, but Kaiser, you're dropping the ball a little bit. I've noticed on a few of my last knives, quality hasn't been exactly so great. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like there's a lot of stuff with Kaiser that have been slipping through the cracks that should not be slipping through the cracks, if you know what I mean. And that's coming from somebody, again, that I have quite a few Kaiser knives. I like Kaiser knives. Some of my favorite knives are actually made by Kaiser. But the last few months, it seems like there's a lot of stuff that I've seen from Kaiser that's just shouldn't have gone out, if you know what I mean. And it's not even just some, for some people, design is going to be kind of like when it comes to design, it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of a personal preference, but I'm talking about like literal quality issues, like where's my like this knife I love. Where did I put it? As soon as I figure out where I put it, I'll show you. And I've showed this knife a few times. This is one of my favorite knives from Kaiser. This is the trestle. I've showed this a few times. Love this knife. Kaiser trestle. It's got the acid, their special acid etched or acid Damascus, whatever you want to call it, that has like all the little colors. It's a little harder to see on camera than it is in real life, but there's some colors in there that just sort of like reflect depending on how you hold the knife. Love this slip joint. Awesome slip joint, but this is not my first trestle. The first trestle they sent to me, I remember I ordered direct, and this was direct from Kaiser. There was I can't remember which side. There was a glob of adhesive that was dried on the wood scale, and enough of it that it was very noticeable, and there was no way of getting that adhesive off because it was just hard as rock, and it was they just like slapped it on and just never polished it off or sanded it down or cleaned it off. And because they use a type of acid to bring out the lines of the Damascus, it looked like there were circular drops that may have just been left on there and created like permanent little circles, like stains on the blade that were kind of just glaring, like just bad. So it wasn't. Now this one's great. This is a beautiful example of a beautiful Damascus, but it looked bad, and I was surprised that came to me direct from Kaiser. Now, to their credit, they worked with me and they replaced it. So this is technically my second trestle. They replaced it, and the funny thing is they went to replace it, and then it got lost in the mail. It got delivered somewhere else somehow, and that's a delivery company though. And so they sent me a third one that made it to me. So technically, this is the third trestle that I got. So to Kaiser's credit, they worked with me. You know, they understood that I wasn't happy with the product, and they worked hard to replace it, and even replace it again when I didn't get it in the mail. The other thing, again, Kaiser, where's that knife? There it is. The Seagull. I love this knife too. But if you've been on the channel for a little while, you'll remember I ran into a massively bad issue with this knife. And this is the second one I got from them. And I actually even have the original one. But what was happening with the Seagull, and I do love this knife because I just like the shape. I love the grip. I love the blade profile. It's nice and slicey. It's hollow ground. It's just a great knife. We got what was this? I almost said Formica. Crap, damn it. I can't remember the name of the scales. But anyway, it was a great knife. But for whatever reason, if I open the knife slowly, okay? So if you just rolled open the knife, I could literally just fold it closed. The lock, it would not lock. In fact, the only way to lock it, would have to like flick it open with force, like snap this sucker open hard. Oh no, not micarta. God dang it, I'm forgetting my words. Hold on. So this Crossroads has the same material for theirs. God, Rich Light, thank you, Razor Blade. Why I couldn't remember Rich Light, I don't know. So yeah, Rich Light scales on this. But so my original Seagull, if I rolled it open, because some people don't always flick their knives open, they'll roll them open slowly. This could easily just fold shut without even touching that liner lock, which in my opinion could be pretty darn dangerous because this is not a slip joint. It relies on that lock for safety. So, you know, that was interesting that made it out again. And I believe I got that one even direct from Kaiser as well, the Seagull. Now, Kaiser did work with me. I did a few of their suggestions in like taking the knife apart. They even sent me new inner linings. That didn't work. They sent me here's the other thing. They sent me an entire new Seagull. Entire new knife. That had the same issue. Chicken fried steak, how you doing? That had the same issue. If I rolled the knife open, it would not lock, and I could just simply fold fold it closed. I wouldn't even have to tap it on anything. Just using my hand, I can fold it closed. It wouldn't lock. And this was 2 knives in a row, 2 Seagulls in a row that would do that. Finally, they replaced it with a different knife of my choice. I just opted to get another one. I think I got the Sheepdog, if I remember correctly. Great knife, by the way. I just opted for the Sheepdog. They sent me a Sheepdog. They allowed me to keep these. So I actually they allowed me to keep the Seagulls. I actually had to carefully sand down portions of I would slowly and carefully like sand down the parts of the liner and where it was connecting with the blade until I finally got it to now this locks. But I had to destroy the warranty because if you sand something, if you're like reworking the metal in any way, you voided your warranty. But I had actually took some sandpaper and a rotary tool and was just doing little by little by little and rechecking, sand a little bit more, rechecking, sand a little bit more over the course of because I'd get bored with it. I'd do it over the course of a week. It took me. And now I've actually got both of them locking on a slow roll, as you can see here. And this isn't easy because the contact is actually inside there. It's not like a lot of inexpensive liner locks where the contact and the lockup is like right where my nail is. It's actually inside under the just under the pivot there. So that sandpapering and stuff had to be done on a couple surfaces inside there, and I did that on the blade as well, just to remove as little material as possible, so that way I didn't have a knife that started wiggling as soon as it, I didn't take off too much. You can take off metal, but you can't replace it, or at least I can't. I don't know if anybody else can. I can't. So I actually managed to get the Seagull working. Now, and the sad part is I love this knife. I think it's a great knife. It has multiple deployment options with a thumb hole, a front flipper, a rear flipper, and once the liner lock is working, it's a solid lock. It's a very solid lockup. So much so that I love carrying this knife, but it was an ordeal. And just to give you an example, like Kaiser, I don't know what happened to that. I've heard a few other people complain. I've been hearing quite a few complaints with stuff slipping through their QC, which is kind of a shame because I really like Kaiser. I think they have some amazing knives. And again, some of my favorite knives are from Kaiser, but I don't know what's going on with their QC. I hope they take a close look of what's going on. They've been great in terms of taking care of their customers when they have an issue, but they need to be taking care of those issues before they reach the customer, in my opinion. Because, like I said, I've been hearing a lot of complaints. And they've been doing a lot in the more premium knife space. I haven't gotten any of the more expensive premium knives from Kaiser yet. But I hope those aren't suffering from the same issues a lot of their lesser expensive production knives are doing. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed there that they see what's going on and they're able to remedy that, because it's a shame. I like a lot of their stuff, but now I'm a little leery about picking up new Kaisers, at least with the issues that I've been having. What did I miss in chat? You have a Kaiser Quaken. Think it's kind of bad design. The handle square. Yeah, it's design is kind of in the eye of the beholder, but I don't have a Quaken. I'll have to take a look at it. And I have some oddly shaped knives, I'll tell you that. Okay, let me look. Quaken. Nitro V, Kaiser. Oh, okay. It's kind of like a Tonto-ish looking, at least the one that I'm looking at. It's a Tonto-ish looking fixed blade. It doesn't look too bad. I don't know. I'd have to hold one in hand. Can't really tell how comfortable something is just by looking at it. It looks kind of standard. You got the Mini Momo. You got the Mini Momo today. Knives for Life. How do you like the Mini Momo? I've looked at that before. How big is the Mini Momo? I know that's not a new knife. They've had that. That's been a model for a while. And I'm not trying to bash Kaiser in a way. Like I said, I love their knives, but they really need to do something about their QC, because it's a shame with some of these knives that the problems that have occurred with some of them. They just should never have made it past any QC stage. Yeah, okay, that's the Mini Momo. Yeah, I've thought about grabbing one of those. I just keep getting distracted by other shinies. And the sheath. You feel the sheath is too big for the Quaken? I didn't look at the sheath. It does look pretty big. Huh. I'll have to look at that one maybe I can pick one up in the future and take a closer look myself. You have a bunch of older models from Kaiser that aren't available anymore, and they are excellent. Yes, I have a lot of knives from Kaiser that aren't even available anymore. They're excellent. In fact, I know a lot of people complain about like Omega springs from crossbar locks breaking. I've never had one break yet on me. At least nothing from Kaiser. If I remember correctly, they almost seemed like they reigned king when it came to crossbar locks. Drop Bear is still another one of my favorite knives from Kaiser. I like another one is their Cormorant. It's a weird looking one, but I love it. You carry to beat the shit out of your Begletters XL for 2 years daily, and it's still good. And what it surprised me, like I said, they make some great stuff. I don't know what was going on the last few months though, because they shouldn't be letting some of that stuff out. Again, I can't speak for their more expensive premium stuff, because that stuff, it does get pretty pricey, and I've just been distracted with other things. Maybe in the future I can get some of their premium stuff, but again, with the surgery coming up, it's going to be a little hard. Doing good, Chicken Fried. I hope you're doing well. Now you're hungry. Kaiser premium button locks have been failing. The premium button locks, really? Kaiser Griffin, weird blade shape. Let me take a look at that. You caught me by the name Griffin, because the funny thing is I just got another Griffin, but it's not Kaiser. Oh, okay. I'm looking at the Scorpion red and yellow that they have at Knife Center. It's kind of like a Bowie and a Tonto kind of smashed their naughty bits together and had a baby. Oh, it looks pretty interesting. I'm not big on recurves though. It looks like the blade has a bit of a recurve. You got a secondary point, then you got a convex tip, kind of like a Tonto. It's hard to tell, but it does look like a recurve, where it has slightly a concave edge to it for the majority of the body. Looks kind of neat to me, but I'm just not a big fan of recurves, because I can kind of find them a pain in the butt to sharpen. I either like a nice straight edge, or am I getting concave and convex mixed up? I think convex. I should be saying it's got a concave edge for the majority and a convex tip. Concave like a cave. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna. Either way, it does look kind of weird. I'm just not a fan of. I'm just not a fan of sharp, like maintaining blades, like hawkbills, for example. I think hawkbills look neat. I think hawkbills look neat. I think Tontos look neat. I just hate to sharpen them. Because hawkbills, you've got that really deep concave edge, where you kind of almost need specialized tools in order to keep those in good shape, like rods and such. And I prefer like a flat stone. And also Tontos. I think Tontos are great. They look cool anyway. But it's like when I have to maintain a Tonto, if I want to keep it looking good, and I'm trying to be careful of where that secondary point is, and that the secondary point doesn't migrate, or move anywhere when I'm sharpening. So, and it's like I'm sharpening two knives instead of just one, because I have two different edges I'm dealing with. So I'm lazy. I think they look cool. I just hate sharpening them. Give me a standard belly on a knife, or give me a straight edge like a Warncliffe. And I'm good. I'm fine. Those I like. It's just from a maintenance standpoint. That's all. Otherwise, yeah, I think they're pretty darn cool. I think that I do think that Griffin looks pretty neat. It's just I don't know if I'd probably get one just to have one, but would I use it a lot? Probably not if I had to maintain it. Like I said, just because I'm lazy. Where was I? I know I tend to go on tangents, but that's what I love about doing this. I love chatting with you guys. Oh, okay. So yeah, we were going over my EDC, and then we talked about carpal tunnel. Then we went on clone versus counterfeit, and then goofy edges. What I normally would be doing at this point, I'll show you some new knives that I got this last week. I didn't get many. One of them is a birthday present from a coworker. So before anybody says a damn word about this, about the brand, it's the thought that matters, and I think it's awesome. I have an Elite Edge. This was a present, and I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm not going to badmouth this in any way. Elite Edge is not a terribly expensive knife. It's a budget knife. They make a variety of stuff, usually around the $10 to $20 range. I don't think I've seen anything from Elite Edge more than like $15 or $20. But it's a thought that matters. And I got this as a present from a coworker, and pretty neat though. This sucker's weighty. Now this is a lockback from Elite Edge. It's got a little scene that I'm holding upside down. Got a little wolf scene there, if I can get it to focus. Pretty neat. And a solid lockback. Now it's not like a premium blade steel. This one states, what does it state on there? What does it say? Wild Turkey Handmade Collection is what's stamped on there. I'm not familiar with the Wild Turkey Handmade Collection. I'm familiar with seeing a lot of Elite Edges, but I don't know what that is personally. But you know what? It's solid. No blade play. It's got a nice solid lock. A lock back, pretty good locking mechanism. I mean, it's been around on knives for a very, very long time. Buck is the one, if I remember correctly, Buck invented the lockback. And, I can't say anything bad about it because, it actually, to me, it's very pretty. I do like wolves. And it's functional. Again, no blade play. It is a 3CR 13 steel blade, which is, I mean, it's a budget steel, but if anybody recalls, 3CR13 steel is used in a lot of like kitchen steel. A lot of inexpensive kitchen knives are made with it. And I'm pretty sure I own a few knives that are made with the same steel in the kitchen, and it does what it needs to do. Easy to sharpen, moderately stainless, so you don't have to worry about corrosion so much, and it's sharp. Sometimes that's all you need a knife to do. Nice, surprisingly sharp. I could probably sharpen this, and I know 3CR13 is very, very easy to maintain and sharpen. So thank you to my coworker for getting me a pretty cool looking knife, I have to admit. And it's a solid, I mean, for an Elite Edge, it's a solid knife. I cannot complain. Good snap. It's not hitting the spring. There's no dulling going on in the edge, which is another thing that I watch for when it comes to more traditional styled knives with back springs. It's not bouncing off the back spring, so it's not creating a dull edge. Looks kind of neat in my opinion. So that's something that I'm going to put on display somewhere as soon as I can get a display for it. But thank you so much for that birthday present. That was awesome. 3CR13. Okay. Exact razor blade. Well, a lot of people don't understand when they, a lot of times it's really easy to get into all this premium knife stuff. I do the same thing. Marco, how you doing? I do the same thing. I love Magna Cut. I think Magna Cut's awesome. I'd love to get a Magna Max steel knife one day. One day. I do. There are steels that I like and do prefer to get because I'm familiar with how they work. I'm familiar with in terms of like how to maintain them, how easy they are to maintain, and what they're capable of. But a lot of people forget that things like 3CR13 at one point were a premium steel. D2 was considered a very premium steel at one point. And now it's considered it's just considered a budget steel now. But they were all premium steels at one point. 440 steel back in the day was the shit. Exactly. I mean, obviously, as time goes on, more and more advances are going to be made. Steels are going to shift. But things you have to consider also are, what are you using your knife for? And some people they get very caught up in having a steel that on paper is an amazing steel, but is like 10 times more steel than anybody would ever need, if you know what I mean. Like, do I really need like a Rex 121 if all I'm doing is opening packages? I mean, I guess if I never wanted to have to sharpen my knife ever again, or I felt like destroying some sharpening stones, I guess. But it's for a lot of people, there are people that can really use it. I'm not going to say that it has no use, but for your standard everyday carry Joe that just uses them for packages and maybe cutting some cardboard now and then, it is quite a lot of steel for something, what all you're doing is that. So people kind of lose light because they want and I've done that myself. They want the flashiest, they want the newest, they want the coolest. I understand that. I do that now and then. I do that myself. But yeah, 3CR13 at one point was a very premium steel back in the day. But that was a new one. That was from a coworker, friend of mine. Thank you so much for that. I'm just gonna leave that out. I should be leaving these out, not putting them in boxes so you guys can see them. There we go. And Silver Trails Outdoors, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Glad you could make it. I lost track of my brain. Oh yeah, okay. Another knife that I got. This one came from Whatnot. This is from Chasing Blades. I do a lot of business with Chasing. Where's their sticker? I had a sticker from them. I keep moving stuff on my desk and I keep forgetting where I put it. Chasing Blades, where's your sticker? Where'd it go? There you are. Chasing Blades. I do a lot of business with Chasing Blades on Whatnot. They're one of my favorite sellers on there. I spend a lot of time chatting with them on stuff, and I've gotten probably 75 to 80% of my case knives from Chasing Blades. So a lot of times when it comes to case knives, I always suggest, if you have the chance to visually or physically inspect the knife before you get a case knife, do so. I love case knives, but they're a brand that I admit you probably want to check hands-on before purchasing, because there is stuff that does get through QC. Not trying to badmouth them. It is what it is. I still love case knives. Case knives has quickly become one of the bigger manufacturers in my collection, and I've gotten so many case knives within just the last year alone. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, normally I would say if you're gonna get a case knife and you can physically inspect it before you buy, definitely do so. Chasing Blades, I trust enough, even though they're a Whatnot retailer, because he shows you the blades. Mike is the name. It's run by two brothers, Mike and Gary. Mike is the one that's usually on the camera and speaking, and he will show you the exact knife that you're getting, and he will go over it at your request, and you can see it on camera. You can see how everything lines up. You can see the condition of the knife and everything, and that's one of the reasons I love working with Chasing Blades. Not to say that they're the only ones that do it, but they're ones that do. So in lieu of not being able to go over the knife physically myself, I'm glad there's somebody that I can trust that will go over the knife and show me everything before I make my purchase. So one of the reasons why I love Chasing Blades. There's other sellers that do that as well. RL Simp is another one. Another person I trust with that. And there's other sellers, like when it comes to modern knives, Going Gear. There's Blade City is another big one that I've gotten a lot of stuff from, and a few others as well. But definitely check out Chasing Blades if you're on Whatnot. I have a link to Whatnot down below. It's possible you might get some credits if you go through my link. I can't remember if they're doing that still or not. But either way, you can check it out. And if you want any suggestions on who to deal with, if you're looking for particular knives, let me know. I'll help you out. There are quite a few sellers that I definitely will trust and tell you who to look to if you're looking for a particular knife. But anyway, this next knife comes from Chasing Blades. This is a case knife, something I haven't seen myself until recently, until actually they showed it. This one is called a Smooth Mediterranean Blue Bone Western Tooled Trapper. Jeff has seen one. Jeff has gotten a few of these, I believe, from Chasing Blades as well. They had this one. They had a mini pink trapper. This one is a full-sized blue. How do they say it? Smooth Mediterranean blue, but they call it a Western tooled trapper. Saw this, was a little hard to ignore because I have a thing for the pretty, and this is the pretty. Now it just comes in a regular box. But there's the back, smooth backside, smooth backside there, Mediterranean blue bone, very good coloring in my opinion. I like the milk showing through on that one. And then here's the showstopper. Look at the tooling on that. That is pretty. That has all my fingerprints on it. That is pretty. Again, they call it a Western tooled trapper. Just a really cool design. Not something I've seen before anyway. You have your, I forgot what, I think they call this the bomb shield. Some people have been saying it's the squirrel. It's the run over squirrel shield. I can see why. But I believe that's called the bomb shield. And your typical trapper. It's an absolutely gorgeous knife. And you got your main blade with the California clip point, and then your standard spay blade. And this one, unlike a lot of trappers or a lot of knives from Case, because a lot of times they'll have a small burr. This might have a little burr on there. I can feel a little bit. The spay blade is sharp out of the box. I mean, I'll probably hone this up later on, but in my opinion, absolutely beautiful trapper. Quite a bit of milk showing towards the bottom there. I love the tooling on this one. It just looks gorgeous. And that is also, it's like an etch. In other words, you can feel it. You can feel there's raised edges, there's recessed, portions. That's carved out in there. So it's not a smooth, flat. You can probably see a little bit of shadow there, but absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. Very beautiful knife. Got this again from Chasing Blades on Whatnot. They had a mini trapper version that was like this, except I believe it was in pink or a very light purple. That also looked really neat. I don't know if they still have it. I think somebody snagged it, but they might have more. They've been getting some pretty interesting stuff over at Chasing Blades, and I couldn't be happier. Nice, good snap on that. Nice, good walk and talk. Good centering on this one as well. So very happy with this one from Chasing Blades. But pretty awesome stuff. I love the look of the. As much as I love the tooled side, that backside looks amazing to me. I love the look of that backside. That just looks. I would be down if I could get one that was just entirely done like this. I'd be so down with a smooth bone. That just looks really cool. Actually, you know what I'm tempted to do? Now, it might be a little weird. Now, I don't have the money for it right now. But I would be super tempted to get another one of these and take a torch to it. I know that sounds blasphemous, but I'm kind of curious to see how those edges might come out with a little toast. I'd have to be really, really careful. But that might be an interesting burn. I don't know. I mean, the recessed portions are not particularly deep, but they are recessed. So yeah, I am kind of curious as to how this would take a burn. If I manage to do it, if they manage to get another one, and if I can scrounge up the money for it, I might try that. Either this one, or maybe if they get another pink or light purple one, maybe. Just because I'm really curious. I don't know if anybody else has done one, but I'm really curious to see how that would take to a torch. But this one, I'm going to keep pristine. I don't want to. I mean, it's the only one I have, so I don't want to do anything else to it. But that was from Chasing Blades. Awesome case from Chasing Blades. Trappers are some of my favorite profiles from them. From Case. I've been getting into Barlow's lately. I gotta stop. It used to be just Trappers. Then it was Trappers and Sodbuster Juniors. Then it was Trappers, Sodbuster Juniors, and then every other size Trapper. And then I started getting into Muskrats and the Sow Bellies. And now I'm getting into I gotta stop. The other one is a pink. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was pink or a light purple. But yeah, I'm tempted to see how that would take to a burn. I'm really tempted to see how that would burn. Just super curious about it. I'm kind of hoping. Admittedly, I'm kind of hoping somebody else does it before I end up ruining a very beautiful case knife. I'm kind of hoping somebody else has an example of it before I muck something up terribly. But I am really curious. I'd be willing to do it. It's just I don't have the cash for it right now. To just up and grab another one to test it out on. But I'd be willing to burn one to see how it comes out. I just hope somebody else does it before me so I can get a good look at it. Okay, I got one more knife that came in this week. This one is a knife that I've already had, but or at least this is a model that I've already had. But this should tell you how much I actually like this model knife. In fact, when it came down to favorite knives that came out in 2025, this particular model was my favorite knife for 2025. Not that I have a whole lot of saying anything, but it was my favorite knife for 2025. And this is from, and I still don't know if I'm saying this right. I don't know if is there a pronunciation thing for this before I pull this out? Give me a second. How do you say? I can't type. You say that word. Is it K12? Okay. I think it's pronounced K12. I think I've been saying Keto, but I think it's K12. I'm going to say according to Google, it's K12. But obviously from Keto. This was my favorite knife of 2025. This is my third one of theirs. This just happens to be in a different colorway. True to Keto's fashion, they got a lot of stuff that comes in here. You've got your little information card. This is the Mini Griffin G10 in, I don't know, they say PUE. I don't know what the PUE/S stands for. I think the S stands for satin. I think the PUE might stand for purple. Designed by David Ginn, 14C28N steel, satin blade finish, G10 purple with a G10 black inlay. And there's some measurements. right there. And what we have, you got your microfiber cleaning cloth. I love how they package their stickers. Like, who else takes this good care of their sticker that they're going to just slip in the box for you? And the knife itself, again, this is my third one. I just happened to get this at a great price. I got this on Whatnot, but I got it from another seller. Van something? Let me pull it up so I can get the right seller. Oh, no worries, Jeff. No worries. It's okay. I appreciate it. That'll, it gives me something to show for next week. It gives me something to show for next week. So no worries, Jeff. I really appreciate it too. Thank you so much. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Uh-oh. My girlfriend just shared a show from Whatnot full of pretzels, pork rinds, and liquor. Okay. This is why I'm fat. Who did I get this from? I got this from a seller named... Where's his stuff? Where's the seller's name? There it is. This one's kind of a long one. I don't have a sticker from him, but the seller's name is Van, V-A-N, M-V-T, Mike Victor Tango, EDC. So Van _ MVT _ EDC. That's who I got this knife from. I got a pretty good price on this one, so I really couldn't ignore it. This is the Mini Griffin. Like I said, I have a couple of these. My first one that I got was a Blade City exclusive colorway. This is the Mini Griffin. Blade City exclusive. They had a limited number of these made. And it was a titanium scaled with carbon fiber inlay. You got M390 steel with a gold coating. I believe it's a titanium coating. I can't recall, but it was a collaboration between Blade City and Kato. Again, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm just going by the Google pronunciation. But I love this knife so much, this Mini Griffin so much, and I've carried this a couple times, but because of the cost of this knife, I was horrified if anything was going to happen to it. And the fact that you can no longer get this colorway because it was a limited one. You can get others, different colors and stuff. It's still a knife that's available, but this particular color you just can't get anymore unless you go on the secondhand market and you're lucky to find somebody selling it. And even then, you're probably going to find it at a very inflated price. So I was kind of terrified that something could happen to this, even though I love this knife so much. It's just a beautifully made knife. It's surprisingly comfortable, even though it looks very angular. It's really comfortable in the hand. Like ergonomically, it's just fantastic. And it's very pretty. And I didn't carry it as often as I'd like, just because if something happened to it, I'd be at a loss. I wouldn't be able to replace it. But thankfully, they came out with a budget G10 version. And so I ended up picking up what I call the Stormtrooper, which is G10 scales with a G10 inlay and 14C28 on steel for the blade. But it functioned just as well, even had a similar ting to when you open and close it, and just as quick, just as comfortable in the hand, just more budget-minded materials, which made it much more affordable at under $100. And this became a favorite of mine to carry because, again, one of my favorite knives in my collection to keep in my pocket. Just, it feels great. Nice, slicey, harpoon-like blade. Nice point. Just very comfortable in the hand. Love the pocket clip. Love that it's a button lock, it's their version of a compression lock, essentially. And multiple ways of manipulating the blade with a thumb hole, front flipper, rear flipper. And the rear flipper doesn't jut out so insanely. So it keeps the lines pretty nice on this blade. So when I had the opportunity to get another one at an even better price from Van, I jumped on it. and couldn't be happier. This one obviously is a purple G10 with a black G10 inlay, satin blade, same feel, same in terms of function and sound. Viper Wing! Oh my god, Viper Wing! How you doing? Glad to see you. They make critical strike knives. They're great. The critical strike knives are great budgets if you don't want to spend like these. Again, normally these budget mini Griffins run just under $100 a piece. This one I just got at a really good deal, so I couldn't pass that one up from Van on Whatnot. And so it makes my third Griffin. I got two of the budget models. I got my premium. Awesome. I couldn't recommend this thing more. If you're looking for a new modern knife that just looks admittedly really striking. I mean, this has a very interesting look. Again, looks very angular. It doesn't look like it'd be very comfortable in the hand. Just being honest, doesn't look like it'd be very comfortable, but the way they have the angles, the spots for your fingers, it fits like a glove. And I just love this so much. And again, with the button lock, makes it very easy to manipulate. The different ways to open it make it very easy to manipulate. Another thing that helps with the feel of this one is that pocket clip, the pen style pocket clip. It's not a deep carry pocket clip, but the pen style makes it really comfortable in the hand, and got a good spring to it, so nice and strong. You have a very generous lanyard hole. I don't know, that's plus or minus depending on how you feel about lanyard holes, but it is also reversible. So if you're left-handed, you can swap that pocket clip over to the other side, and they even have a little spacer there, so that way you don't end up with a divot there. And I love the fact that the screws are flat. Now they use, I believe these are T8s all along. Is that a T8 all along the thing? Their premium uses some weird, I don't know. Their premium uses some weird thing for the pivot and for like one of the body screws. I have no idea what the hell I do with that. But I believe these are T8s across the board, and if they are, that's freaking awesome. Pivot is a T8. Body screws a T8. Even the pocket clip screws are T8s. I do not see a T6 anywhere on here, which makes this even better. Makes that even better in my book. So T8s all around. So if you're looking for a really interesting looking modern knife with a decent steel, 14C28N steel, a favorite budget seal of mine, very easy to maintain, very easy to keep sharp, very easy to sharpen. Nice corrosion resistance on this. And if you're looking for something uncoated, the purple, obviously satin blade finish. If you like the Stormtrooper, you have a blackened blade on this one. Still 14C28N. So probably one of my biggest recommendations if you're looking for a modern knife. Still one of my biggest recommendations if you're looking for something modern. Again, my favorite for 2025 was this mini Griffin, but I was really excited to get a new purple one and with a satin blade on that. Just a super cool knife. So that's where I got, or again, I could not skip out on this one. That was the third knife that I got this week. The last knife that I got this week, or new knife that I got this week. So yeah, not a whole lot of stuff. Not. I remember when I first did this channel, I had like 10, 15 knives come in. I had boxes. My mail carrier is like, what the hell are you doing? But awesome knives from Kato. Good grief. Case, and even from Elite Edge. Nice little birthday present from a coworker. Awesome stuff. So one thing I'm going to start doing as we go into like chatting about random stuff, because I didn't really have anything set for this week other than just chatting about knives and doing random chat. We're going to get some of these knives oiled up and whatchamahoots ready for carry. Well, I don't know if I'm going to carry the case. It's really pretty. I need to get a good leather case or leather slip case for this if I'm going to carry that. Even then, I don't know if I'd want to use it. That to me is like an art piece. Where's my oil? So we're going to grab some oil and knife pivot lube and my wax. Not that I have to wax a whole lot, because as far as I know, yeah, everything here is stainless steel, so I shouldn't have to worry about it. But we're going to give everything a good cleaning, and we're going to give everything a good oiling. You can see how I maintain my stuff. It looks like there was some oil left on this one. Some of it looks dried, a little gummy. So we're going to clean that off. What the hell did I put? I was just staring at it. In fact, I picked, there you are, my polishing cloth. Let go. I'll give this a good polishing. But otherwise, we're going to open this up to relatively general chat, whatever you guys want to talk about in terms of knives in general. I'm just going to continue cleaning these knives. So if you have any questions on how I clean my knives, how I maintain my knives, I might go into sharpening. Well, maybe I'll sharpen this one. This one should be real easy to sharpen. I know the edge wasn't bad. I don't see any dull points, but I could probably get this into a hair shaving edge without too much difficulty. Okay. You got to run? Oh, no problem. Thanks for stopping by, Jeff. Really appreciate you being here. Yeah, I didn't really have a plan for today. I do want to keep doing these lives because I don't want. I have no intention of going away, but I will say that things are slowing down because the upcoming surgery, and then having to save money for the upcoming surgery, and also I won't really be able to do a whole lot while I'm recovering from the surgery. So, I don't know what that's going to mean in terms of like knife videos. I hope to pick up individual knife videos again soon, but I do really intend to at least do the lives every week because I love talking with you guys. I love learning from you guys. You guys teach me a ton of stuff when I hold these lives. And it's kind of like one of the few ways I get to socialize. Yeah, you finally caught an EDC Squirrel stream. Glad you could make it. So yeah, welcome to my hobby. This is one of my biggest hobbies right here. And I know EDC stands for everyday carry, and a lot of times that encompasses a lot more than just knives. For me, I have a knife collecting hobby. I do have, I don't really mean to collect them, but I do acquire them, like flashlights and other EDC type gear, which is everyday, stuff I carry with me every day. Like this flashlight, for example. In fact, I have a new flashlight coming in soon because I didn't realize I had like so many points and stuff saved up that I got a massive discount on top of like a massive sale. Hey, Dan, glad you can make it. But I got like Olight was having a massive sale. I don't know if it's still going on right now. But they were having a massive sale, and I had a bunch of points from their store and other stuff. So there was a flashlight that I picked up. That should be here next week, as well as a few other knives. I know Jeff said he sent me a birthday present. That'll be coming in. That's probably going to be a traditional knife from Chasing Blades, if I remember correctly. And I've got maybe a couple other things coming in as well that were just like sort of delayed and late in coming in. I'm trying not to spend a lot of money, but I do, like, sometimes admittedly you come across a deal you just can't ignore. So I try. Clint, welcome to the stream. I don't know if I saw your name up there, but Dan saying oh, there you are. Clint, welcome to the stream. Right now I'm opening this up to just general chat about knives and stuff. I was showing these earlier because these were what I was carrying for the week. I had a case Crossroads, not exactly this case, but one very similar. It had rich light scales, but otherwise pretty much the same thing. Case Crossroads Sodbuster Jr. I was carrying my Spyderco Salt, my Spyderco PM3 Salt in Magna Cut, and then this is my Olight Art Pro Ultra flashlight, which I freaking love. That has been my carry for the majority of this week. Let me know what was in your pocket. I'd love to hear what you guys have. That's how I learn about a lot of stuff. You just got your first Miguron. You really like, which Miguron did you get? I really like Miguron. Miguron's been coming out with new stuff. They're coming out with a new knife. I mentioned that earlier. They're coming out with I think a couple new knives, but the one that I saw was the Karak. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And they've updated their D2 steel, which I'm really excited about. And on top of that, not only did they update their D2, but they have some really cool scale materials for that knife. And they're still really, really inexpensive. I think they were going for under $30 to just under $52, depending on the scale material. The one you got is called the Perism. Okay, now I gotta look. Miguron. This is the danger of doing what I do. Is somebody tells me about a new knife, then I look and then I want it. It would be the first chicken fried steak is probably the worst offender when it comes to like telling me about a knife that I end up spending money and buying it. I think twice I've ended up buying a knife while live because of chicken fried steak. I love you, chicken fried steak, but you're killing my wallet. I'm blaming you. Yes, I'm not blaming my entire lack of willpower. I'm blaming you. It wouldn't be the first time chicken fried steak has gotten me to buy a knife. I'm not seeing it on a Knife Center. Let me take a look. I'm gonna do another search. You said it was called the Perism. There it is. Ooh. Is that it? Because I think I've seen this. I think I've wanted it. Oh, wait, no, that's not. Wait a second. Why is Miguron showing a QSP penguin on their page? That surprised me. Unless did they work? How is Miguron and QSP associated? Because if they're associated in some way, I did not know that. But for some odd reason, I was looking on Miguron's page. Or is this actually Miguron's page? I don't know if that's their real page or not. I don't know if that was their real page. I'm confused. I know they're an OEM. So, okay, where's the Perism? Ooh, the Solora looks pretty. 19C27 steel. Thali D2 blade, showing the new higher HRC of their blades. The Karak was the one I was interested in. I'm also interested in the Thali, THALY. But those are new arrivals. Where's the Perism? Okay. Oh, yeah, wait. Do I have one of these? I might have one of these. It's getting bad when you can't remember whether you have a knife or not. You know it's getting bad at that point. Yeah, if it's not your username making people hungry, it's the knives, chicken fried. Thanks a lot for that. Oh, God. I might have that. I'm gonna have to check my collection. I've got roundabouts close to. I know last I checked, I was approaching about 500 knives in my collection. D2 steel. That shape looks very familiar. Or I might have one that's just very similar to the Perism. they're just starting to sell some other people's stuff is all. They're not sister companies or anything. They just started selling. Okay, I see. Yeah, I was just surprised me to see a QSP Penguin on that page, but I don't. Again, it's weird because there's a Migaron knives and then there's a Migarons.com. So I don't know if I just happened upon a very similar web page. It was really weird because I see mmigaronknives.com and I see migarons.com. So I have questions about that. I know there are other sellers that if I'm unsure about a website, I know there's other sellers that carry Migarons, so I can always go to some of those other sellers. Yeah, I've got, and when I say 500, that's a mixture of my traditional and modern knives. When I first started collecting, I was primarily or predominantly modern styled knives. Things like Civivi, Cold Steel, Kershaw, things like that. And within the last year, I got really big into, I'd say, well, a little over a year. I got really big into starting to collect case knives and traditional knives. And that probably ballooned my knife collection by about, I don't know the exact number, but probably roundabouts 100 to 150 knives. So, yeah, I have the willpower of a dead rat. I have no willpower whatsoever. I'm having to keep things in check now. But at the time, I had no willpower. I would eat ramen for a week if a new knife came out that I really, really wanted. I would save money by not eating anything but ramen for the week. My doctor wasn't really happy about it because of my sodium levels, but I had a new knife, so it kind of balanced out. It balanced out in a really bad way. I was maintaining a knife. But yeah, I've got close to, if not around 500 knives. I used to keep a spreadsheet, but sometimes I get a few things in, and then it'd be a busy week, and I've been horrible about keeping my spreadsheet up to date. But when I was keeping the spreadsheet up to date, and it's been a few months since I've really added anything to it, at the time I stopped, I think I was around 450 knives when I stopped the spreadsheet. I was thinking about getting, because somebody had come up with an app where you could take a picture of the knife, and then it created a spreadsheet for you on the phone. Until I realized that in order to maintain anything over, like, say, 150 knives, it would be like a monthly or yearly fee. I'm like, no, I'll just do that myself if I want to get back into it. But yeah, that's where I'm at around, and it's a mix. Again, that includes a mix of modern and traditional knives. Things like, your case knives. I've got quite a few Rough Rider. It doesn't matter the cost. I was just adding, if I added it to my collection, it went into the spreadsheet. But Rough Rider, case. Again, even Opinel. I've got a couple Opinel, some Japanese Higanakamis, things like that. I don't count any larger, like, swords into that collection because I've stopped collecting those a while ago. In fact, I sold a lot of my swords off and only have a couple, mainly because they took up so much room. I can pack more knives into a case, and it's easier for me to handle. Although now my cases are starting to take up a lot of room, and I've got to be careful. My girlfriend's starting to wonder where'd all this shit come from, and I can only have so many birthdays within a year before she gets suspicious. Where did I put my brushes? Okay, I was just staring at my cleaning brushes a moment ago, and now I misplaced them because my brain does not function like a normal brain. Okay. There you are. Oh, you're going live in 15, but gonna keep. Oh, well, thank you, Viperwing. Have a great stream. Now, how many do you guys have in your collection? What do you guys normally collect? I collect. Well, first of all, I don't collect for monetary reasons. I don't. I don't resell. I have sold parts of my collection in the past. A lot of times that was to either make room or in case of like a massive emergency. I have sold parts of my collection in the past. However, I don't collect for monetary reasons. I don't buy a knife thinking, oh, I'm going to get this knife because in a couple years or whatever, I can sell it for hundreds over what I purchase it for. No, I'm not that type of collector. I collect for the sheer enjoyment of collecting, having these as tools as well as, in a lot of cases, conversation pieces. I like to display them, but it's for my own personal enjoyment that I collect these knives. Sure, when the time comes, I know friends and family are going to be probably getting a good deal of this collection, and then what they do with it is on them, whether they decide to keep or sell. But for me, I enjoy collecting for the sheer enjoyment of collecting these things, and for various reasons. Again, I might collect it, or I might purchase it because I want it as a usable tool. I might get it because I think it's just plain cool looking and would be an awesome conversation piece. I have been trying to stray away from collecting like very limited and one-off things because I do kind of like to use the majority of the stuff that I buy. And I realize that I've been getting more and more things that I'm scared to actually use simply because replacing them would be nearly impossible. So I'm trying to kind of like stop from getting those knives. On the Edge, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. So yeah, I've been kind of straying away from that type of stuff and trying to stick with knives that I wouldn't have any problem carrying and using on a daily basis. It's still hard not to sometimes. Sometimes there's a knife out there that's just that pretty that you can't, the want for it is just going to override my common sense. But yeah, trying not to do that as often as I used to. I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, I collect for the sheer enjoyment of collecting, not to resell. And so I'll tend to catch anything really that catches my eye or interest. So I don't always stick to one particular thing or another. Sometimes I might get fixated on certain things, like with case knives, like, I'll get fixated with certain patterns, like, sow bellies or trappers and stuff like that. But otherwise, anything is on the table when it comes to what might interest me in regards to pocket knives. Originally, it's been modern knives. Recently, it's been a lot more traditional knives. I like them all. I like them all, even regardless of cost or expense. I do have a limit to my spending. And Black and Blue Gamer, welcome to the stream. I do have a limit, a self-imposed limit. Like, I won't spend more than $300, mainly because I can only eat so much ramen. $300 is like the extreme expensive for me. And also because I like to use a lot of the knives that I get. It's a lot easier for me to replace something that's, under the 300 mark than replace something that's over the 300 mark if something were to happen to it. I have nothing against anything over 300 at all. There's a lot of knives I would love to get my hands on. They're just Financially, not the best idea for me. I know people that carry a $600 knife with them all the time. That's their daily carry, and they use it all the time. And a well-made $600 knife that's meant to be used, awesome. That would frighten my wallet. Thankfully, there's a lot of good choices, great knives out there that you can even get for under $100. Like, again, the Kato. I'm saying it probably a billion different ways, but still awesome. One of my favorite knives ever from them. I've mentioned Kaiser. Just beware their quality this recent months. Still love them. I just don't know what's going on with their QC. Kaiser, Civivi still makes outstanding knives. I don't think Civivi gets enough credit, but I wonder if I don't know. They're not always as flashy as some other knives. They don't know, they're almost more utilitarian in regards to pocket knives. I mean, they have some flashier stuff, but I don't think Civivi gets enough credit, really. They do make some awesome stuff. I've got quite a few Civivi. What was I getting at? Again, my brain tends to go in different directions. There's a reason why I use the Squirrel moniker. But yeah, I tend to stay around under $100 or under $300 when it comes to anything new that I might obtain. That's just my own self-imposed ceiling. Sure, I can hold back, save a little bit more, and grab me a knife that might be $500-600 or whatever. But at least in regards to my financial situation, if I were to grab something that was like $600, more than likely it'll probably end up being a safe queen. It'll stay in a display, or it'll be a display queen or a safe queen, and will never see the light of day unless I wanted to have a conversation about it, and that's about it. But again, that's because I wouldn't want anything to happen to it, because I'd never be able to replace it. Another reason why I don't carry, like, for example, I don't carry this very often. This ends up being in my case and is more of a display and conversation piece, because this was a pretty expensive knife when it came out. I can't do that with my left hand. And because it was limited, and in fact severely limited, the ability to replace this if anything happened to it would be nigh impossible. You're just a now Viper Wing is from my video game channel. I have a secondary channel. Actually, that's my primary channel. The knife channel actually came up. It is the younger channel of the two. I started off playing video games and streaming video games. I still do so nightly at like 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that one's been doing pretty well. That's another one of my de-stressing hobbies is playing video games. And I do that every night, and I stream that every night. This is my other hobby when I'm not playing video games, is poring over new knives, going over in my knife collection, and maintaining those knives that I do use. This is my other hobby. And I just decided to make a channel about it, and I haven't looked back. It's been fantastic. Like I said, I've learned more about my own hobby in running this channel than I ever have on my own. And I've been collecting for years, for many years. This channel is just a little above a year old now, I believe. And I've learned so much in just this year alone that on all my other years combined, running this channel. This is fun for me. It's another outlet and way to socialize and meet people that have similar interests. So that's another reason. Working really hard to keep this going, and will work really hard to keep this going, because I absolutely enjoy meeting people like you guys, chatting with you guys, learning about stuff. As much as I've been collecting these knives, I don't consider myself an expert in any way. I'm always learning something new every day, and I am very grateful to have that opportunity to do so, especially with people like you guys. So right there, thank you for all the support you guys have been giving me, all the chat and information shared, and just spending time while I sit here and fumble around with my knives and hopefully not cut myself, which thankfully has only happened maybe like twice on video and maybe once on stream. I've been pretty lucky. Of course, I probably jinxed myself there. But if you have any questions on what I'm doing now, this is right now I'm just open to chat because I didn't really have a particular subject today. I didn't really have time to really prepare something for today. So I am just maintaining my knives. Wanted to show you some of the new knives I got this week and just chat up with you. We'll see if there's anything new that I haven't seen, anything new that I can learn, and spend time with you guys. So that's the whole purpose for today, really. I just thought I will, if I didn't have anything better, I will continue to run my channel and maintain these new knives that I've got. And you can see what I do to any new knife that I get in my collection. Like how I treat my traditionals versus how I treat my moderns when I first get them in hand. And I haven't done anything with these since I got them this week. So you guys are seeing what I do with every traditional knife as soon as I get it, which is oil the pivots and then run a crap ton of oil down the well to make sure I get rid of any gunk that might have been left in there from the factory. Which, depending on the manufacturer, can be kind of surprising. Case is usually pretty good, but there were some instances where I've gotten a few case where like they also had some of the most gunk I've ever seen on a traditional knife. On average, though, they're one of the better ones. I can only handle your sass once a week. Try me. So what I do with every traditional knife is right now I've oiled and brushed the pivot. Right now I'm running some oil down the inside of the well, just to the point where it starts to run down. And then I'll take one of these micro brushes, and then I'll essentially just swab the excess oil out of the well, and along with it, any dirt, any gunk that might be in there. This one's actually pretty clean. And this is my first time oiling this, just out of the box. So this one's pretty good. But it keeps the pivot lubricated. Also keeps any moving bits lubricated, like the spring. The spring actually moves quite a bit as you open and close these. And this just helps cut down on premature wear and tear. If you're like me and like to open and close the knife for no reason whatsoever, even when you're not using it. Yeah, this is pretty clean. And now I'm just making sure I get all the excess oil out. It'll run on the other side. It'll like seep through and kind of like coat that spring, which is what I want it to do. But I'm just getting rid of any excess, so it's not like I don't have oil pouring out anywhere once I decide to throw it in a slip or a pocket, or just back in the box or on a display. And that oil seeping through on the other side, as you can probably see. And then I'm going to do the same with the other well. I do this with every well on a traditional knife. And the oil that I'm using, this is Kurabara 100% pure camellia oil. It's a Japanese knife oil, and it's also food safe. So you can use these on knives that you plan on using on, with your food. You're not going to be adding any crazy chemicals or anything like that. But this is a traditional knife oil used in Japan. I like to use these on my traditional knives as well as my longer knives like swords and things like that. That's what I like to use. And in terms of like knife oils and stuff, it's pretty economical. It's not terribly expensive. This thing has lasted hundreds of traditional knives and other knives. And I still got like at least a third left. And I think I spent maybe $10 on this. And then, yeah, this has lasted me a while. And I'm pouring this oil down into these wells. So get quite a lot for a little bit of money. A lot of people like to use mineral oil as well. That's something that can be used. That's also food safe. So you don't have to worry about whether you're going to be using the knife on food or not. Mineral oil would be even a more inexpensive, much more economical choice if you're trying to save money. And it doesn't need much. I say I'm pouring it down, but you really don't need much oil when it comes to lubricating and cleaning these. Like I said, just enough to where I see it start to run down the spring in the well. And this well is pretty clean also. I'm not seeing a lot of dirt in there. Pretty nice in there. And then, like I said, I do this with every case, every Rough Rider. I've gotten a queen, and I got another queen coming in at some point. Queen USA knife, which is just another manufacturer of traditional knives. They've been around for a long time. I believe SMKW owns them now. Like SMKW owns Rough Rider. But I didn't have too many. Actually, I didn't have any Queen USA made knives in my collection until just recent. Picked up my first Queen USA. I think I just showed it last week. I believe it was either last week or the week before. That one was from Chasing Blades. Was a big boy trapper, I believe is what it was called. And it was a red bone, basically an inflated version of this thing, except in red, like a massive sized trapper. I believe they called it the big boy. I can pull that out in a second, because now I can't remember what exactly it was called. I just want to make sure I'm calling it the right thing. But that was my first USA made queen. They're made in the USA, but there are queen knives that are made overseas. They have essentially their budget line, their queen cutlery budget line. I'm not sure exactly where overseas they're made, but they're not bad. I'd probably put Queen's budget line probably in comparison to Rough Rider in terms of quality. And Rough Rider, surprisingly good quality for a very inexpensive knife. Rough Rider makes some really inexpensive knives. But, like I said, for the cost and for a pretty good warranty, they're surprisingly good. They make a lot of different varieties, a lot of different colors in Rough Rider. The Rough Riders are how I got started in collecting traditional knives, because I just happened to get, I remember watching some Whatnot shows, and they were showing off a lot of Rough Riders, and I was amazed at how pretty a lot of them were and how inexpensive they were. I had to give a shot. Picked up a couple, and I fell in love with them. Got more. And then I got introduced to Case, and then I haven't looked back. So now, nicely oiled pivots, clean wells. There's a very minute burr on this. I can strop that burr off, I'm sure, without an issue. Now it's oiled and clean. Probably should have stropped that burr off before I did that, but I wasn't thinking. I'll just run it on my leather strap real quick. And I've got a, I believe this is a 0.6 micron infused leather strap. And just running it lightly over it. I know it's not on camera, but unfortunately I didn't set my camera up for too well for sharpening. And moving on to a finer strap. I don't think I need much more than that. And that burr's about gone, I think. Let's see how that's on paper. That one didn't need much. What happened to all my magazines? There we go. Oh, that's nice. That did not take much at all. And then I just got to do the spade blade. So we got the clip point done. I'll get my fingerprints off that. And let's see, I don't know if is that hitting the spring or not. I got a bit of a roll there, I just noticed. Okay. This might need a little bit more work than I thought. Where did I put? I just had it on my table. I swear I would lose my brain if I didn't nail it down. But I had a sharpening stone here just a moment ago. Holy cow, there you are. It was on the table. This work sharp, has probably seen more use than any other tool in my freaking kit. Fantastic thing for maintaining knives. I noticed a slight roll that I didn't see before. But this will bring it back into... Yeah, that was fast. These work sharps are awesome. These things are like $35-$40 for this work sharp. It has everything you freaking need. And I have another one of these, but this is the first one I ever got. And these are amazing if you use knives a lot and want something to keep on hand to sharpen or hone a blade that you use a lot out in the field. I believe they call it their field sharpener. It's got diamond plates. It's got ceramic rods. It'll even hold broadheads. And even has sharpening guides so you can hold an angle, which is really, really freaking nice. Again, doesn't need much. It's really light pressure. And that was a coarse ceramic onto a fine ceramic. And I'll probably strap again. I'm not even really pressing. Like the weight of the knife is all I'm doing. Just trying to maintain the same angle is all. It's hard to see, but I created a fine burr on that. That didn't take long at all. No, just gonna polish the edge. Let's drop it. Down to a 1 micron or 0.1 micron. Yeah, I saw a weird little roll there, but that is gone. That didn't take much. It feels sharp as hell. Let's try that again. Move these out of the way. Then let's see how that is on paper again. You want a sharpener that it's a great little field sharpener. I you know what, I should have a link. Let me look real quick. I should have a link to it. I believe I did. Edit. Yeah, if you look in the description, the WorkSharp compact knife sharpener, I have a link to that there. Like I said, I think it's around like, I remember I got mine, I believe on sale was like $35. They might be around $40 right now. But the field sharpener, yeah, I have a lot of sharpening stuff. I have larger diamond plates. I had stones. Even, I have a ton of strops. This one has literally everything you need if you need to take a sharpener out on the field. You have a coarse grit diamond stone, and it's a diamond or coarse grit diamond plate, and they're magnetically attached. So there's the coarse side, but when you're not using it, you can flip it over to kind of protect the plate. But when you want to use it, I forgot what the grit was on this one. I'd like to say it's either 220 or 320. I can't remember the number, but it's a coarse grit. Then they have on the other side, it's a finer grit diamond plate, and I believe that's 600 grit. I have that flipped over. Again, you have these, like, I think these are like broadhead wrenches if you're, doing the archery thing. You have this ceramic rod, which you have a coarse ceramic rod, and you have a finer ceramic rod, and in between there's a groove for fish hook sharpening. So there's a little groove here if you want to sharpen your fish hooks. You just turn that to this position, and you can sharpen your fish hooks that way. And then if you have serrated knives, you have a smaller rod to help sharpen your serrated, your serrated edges. And then you also have a leather strop. Now, the leather strop, when you get it, has I forgot what they call it. It has that same stropping compound that's like that green waxy compound. I forgot what it is, like aluminum something or other. It has a green waxy compound. I've removed the compound on mine, and I've replaced it with a diamond suspension. This one just happens to have, I think it's a 0.5 micron diamond stropping stuff. In fact, I think it was called Stroppy Stuff was the manufacturer. This is the reason why it's got a pink color to it. But I use that on this leather strap. So you've got everything you need. And you even have angle guides, which are roughly about a 20% angle. You can see there to help guide you as you're sharpening. Obviously, you don't have to use the guides if you want a sharper, lower angle. But for those that aren't, that don't do a lot of sharpening, those guides help a lot. And I've used the hell out of this, and it's still going strong. I've had this for over a year, and it's probably the most used tool in my kit. I've got another one brand new that I just keep in my backpack. This one stays at home. And the funny thing is, I have a fixed angle one from Work Sharp. I have a fixed angle sharpener. I have diamond plates from Sharpal or Sharpal, and which are all great things. But I use this more than anything, to be totally honest. This has seen the most use out of any of them, and for good reason. It's inexpensive, has literally everything you need, and is in a size that you can toss in a backpack or a small pack and take along with you. It's not very heavy, and I couldn't recommend these things more. They're freaking outstanding. I would probably not use a 0.5. In hindsight, I'll probably replace this with a 6 micron diamond emulsion, and I'm just using it up until it's, I don't want to waste what I put on there, so I'm just using that for now until it gets to the point where I can scrape the emulsion off and then replace it with a 6 micron emulsion. But even if you just use that green waxy stropping compound, it still works fantastic. You might just have to replace that green stroppy, that green waxy compound a little bit more often than a diamond emulsion, but still works fantastic for what it is. That the fact that you have everything you need in a small compact sharpener. The only problem you might run into is if you have an extremely wear resistant steel that has a recurve, because if you have a very hard steel and it's a recurve, the rods might not do the best job in sharpening those, and the diamond plates are obviously a bit flat, so you might have a little bit trouble if you're doing a recurve blade. But for most intents and purposes, this is going to serve you pretty damn well, and at a good price. Well, go check it out. Again, it's not very expensive, and you can see the results that I'm getting. Just from, I was just using the ceramic rods to hone this knife, which did have an interesting flat spot, but that's, like I said, gone the way of the dodo. And it's cutting pretty damn nice now. In fact, I am shaving hair. Maybe not the sharpest, but it's definitely cutting hair off my arm without making me bleed, which is good. And then we're just going to strop the secondary or the spade blade real quick, since this is a 2-bladed trapper. You like the paper cutting? And for chicken fried steak knows what I'm talking about. This thing is an amazing little tool. I forgot who I learned about it, or found out about this from. I'd like to say it's either Outdoors 55 or Neve's Knives. I can't recall. And they do a lot of sharpening. They're like sharpening experts. And so I took the recommendation at heart, and very glad I did, because this thing rocks. And so far, it's been lasting a good long time. Now, you know what? I'll just go I'm going to use my other strops, though. Just because I can do it a little quicker because of the size. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, diamond emulsion, these are leather strops. It's basically a section of leather attached to a wooden board. And a diamond emulsion is something that you spray on or goop on, and then you let dry on top of the leather. And they come in various grits, which is differentiated by microns. So in this case, this one has a 6 micron diamond emulsion on it, which means that the particles of diamond that were suspended in that emulsion that are now on this strap should be no bigger than 6 microns in size, which is a great size that will still do a decent amount of cutting, I guess you could say, into steel without, it's a think of it as a very super fine grit. And then the other side of this is a 0.5 emulsion, where it's more, now you're getting into the polishing side of things, and you're just sort of like polishing the edge. And then what I'll do is then, once I'm done doing a few passes here, I'll go on to a 0.1 diamond emulsion strop for even further refinement. And usually that's about as far as I take it. Sometimes I don't even take it past the 0.5. Part of it depends on the steel, because depending on the steel you're using, you might kind of see diminishing returns, like a 0.1. You're not going to see much noticeable difference depending on the steel, or at least that I've seen anyway. Now we're on to 0.1, and it doesn't take much. The hardest part when it comes to stropping is just holding your angle. You don't need a lot of pressure. In fact, I'm not even pressing down on the knife. I'm simply letting the weight of the knife, really, I'm just using the weight of the knife and giving it a few light passes. There we go. And then piece of paper. We'll see where we're at with that. Nice. No flat spots. Oops. Not bad at all. Got rid of the burr. Nice and sharp. And technically ready for the pocket at this point. There we go. So the only thing that I would do, and the only other thing that I would do on this, if I was putting it on display, these are called sunshine cloths, or jeweler's cloths. They kind of have a very super light abrasive to them, but they're great when it comes to polishing off the shiny parts of a knife and bringing back a lot of shine. I love these things. So nice and pretty, nice and shiny. There we go. Now these don't need anything done with them. But this one does. Ow. Hit the table with my knee. Lonnie, how you doing? Best part, Walmart sells. Oh, Walmart sells the field sharpener, so you can usually pick it up local and have it in hand same day. That's great. I didn't know. Well, I don't really do a whole lot of shopping at Walmart. I can't remember the last time I've even been at a Walmart. I do a lot of stuff online nowadays. So, excuse me. Hello. You know what? I need a drink. If you haven't hydrated, I know it's been a little while, grab a drink. Get something to drink. I had coffee earlier, but I could use some water. Oh, that's better. Okay. Excuse my really angrily squeaky chair. So we're back to the Mini Griffin. Now, this runs on ball bearings, so it's already nice and smooth and super quick. I love the sound when I close this thing, too. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's got this tink to it that for some odd reason is just super satisfying. Nice, strong detent. I wish I didn't lose the strength in my middle finger, because I used to be able to flick these open like nothing. But again, pay attention to what your body's telling you. If you're getting numb fingers or tingly fingers a lot, go see your doctor. Don't let it get to the point of where I need surgery. So I'm just taking a look at the well, doing some inspection in here real quick. Not seeing anything out of the ordinary. It's got a good lockup. I'm not seeing any or feeling any wiggle, either left or right. Not moving anything up or down. It's just solidly locked in there. So that's a good sign. I close this up. Nicely centered in the well. So it's not off to one side or the other. And again, it's nice and smooth on the move. It's got ball bearings in that pivot, which attribute to, you could attribute that silky movement to the ball bearings. But one thing I still like to do, even though that this works, it works flawlessly. There's nothing wrong with this at all. I still will put some oil on the pivot. And the reason why I do that is because the pivot's it's just a part on the knife where you've got parts rubbing on parts. So in rare cases, the oil will help it smooth out if it's feeling gritty or sticky or anything like that. But even if it's feeling fine, I'll add a drop to either side of the pivot there, simply to cut down on any premature wear that could occur in the pivot. Again, you got parts rubbing on parts, since it's the only part of the knife where they're really rubbing up against each other. So on a lot of my modern knives, I use KPL, which is knife pivot lube. Now this can be pretty pricey. I think this bottle runs maybe about like $15. I'm halfway through this bottle, but this has done also hundreds of knives, because you really don't need a lot of this. I just put a single drop on. You can see you got that metal in the center. That's your knife. That's the tang. And on either side are discs of ball bearings. And what I'm going to do is I just put a drop on that side and then on that side. And that's generally it. That keeps the pivots and bearings nicely lubricated, and also helps keep them protected from moisture and premature wear. And then I'll just fiddle with a knife a little bit to make sure that oil is evenly distributed. I didn't get an exact second. Well, I did speak to. I did. Oh yeah, I guess I did get a second opinion. I spoke to another doctor that's in my network, and they took a look at my tests as well. I mean, all they did was confirm, yeah, that's something that they would normally do surgery for, and it's something that I'll want to do relatively quickly to prevent any permanent damage. So it's pretty much in line with what a lot of other doctors end up doing at the point that I'm at anyway. Which is why I say that if you're ever doing anything, a lot of repetitive stuff, a lot of office work, but if you're ever feeling your fingers get numb, fairly often when you're doing work, or if they get the pins and needles relatively often when you're doing a lot of work on the computer, pay attention to those signs. I mean, I didn't think too much of it because a lot of times, you get that little numbness or that little pins and needles feeling, and I stop what I'm doing. I give my hand a good shake, let it go for a little bit, and then I'm good to go, and then I'll continue to do my work, and then eventually I'll do that again, and I'll shake my hand out again, and it's back to normal again, and I would just ignore it, which I realize now is not the right thing to do. If you're getting that pretty often, have your hand checked by a doctor, or talk to your primary. They'll probably recommend neuropathic specialist, because what's happening is an issue with your nerves. Your nerves are essentially getting irritated because they're getting squished. And they'll probably recommend you do a specialist. The specialist might do a few tests. The most common test is the EMG. And what they're doing with an EMG is they're testing the signals of your nerves. And they're testing a couple things. They're testing how strong the signals are, and they're also testing how fast the signals are traveling. And they're able to measure all that. And based on those measurements, they'll do one of a few things. They'll either recommend physical therapy or some exercises. In some cases, maybe steroid injections. That would have been great for me. But unfortunately, in my testing, there was enough issue where I was at the point where steroid injections and stuff would probably not do much to help, and surgery is really the only way to prevent permanent damage. And essentially what they're going to end up doing, this is going to be a fun part. There's two types of surgery that they'll perform. Okay. And I'll be awake for both. It's, local anesthesia. And the first common way they do it is they end up making an incision, and they can visualize. What they'll do is they'll visualize and see this tendon. There's this tendon that kind of runs across your wrist, and your median nerve, runs underneath it. I think part of the reason why they call it carpal tunnel is because there's an issue with that tunnel that nerve is going through. And essentially what they do is they just cut that tendon, thereby releasing that nerve. And that should alleviate the nerve from any irritation and pressure. And then, they sew you up and probably put you in a small cast or whatever, and then you're good to go. It's usually an outpatient thing. Maybe takes, I think the doctor said, generally doesn't take more than half an hour. The other way they do it is it takes a little bit more specialized equipment, but they make smaller incisions, and then they use like I forgot this tool, like an endoscope type tool or something that has a camera. They visualize the tendon with the camera, and that also then cuts that tendon, releasing the nerve. That type of surgery is a little bit more specialized because it requires special equipment, but it has a faster recovery rate because the incisions are smaller. So I don't know. I haven't gone over what version of surgery they're going to do yet. I mean, they both have their pros and cons. The first one that I mentioned, the con is it takes a little longer for recovery, but it's easier for most doctors to do because they cut to the point where they can visually see they can visually see the tendon they need to cut and then cut it. Whereas the other one requires more specialization, more experience, and they're relying on cameras to visualize that tendon in order to cut it. But it has a faster recovery time because there's less less cutting done in order to do what they need to do. So that's how one of the two ways that they'll be doing it, from what I understand. I have a bad tendency to go down rabbit holes when I'm doing stuff. So I wanted to know what was going on, and that's what I learned about carpal tunnel surgery. So it's just a matter. I'm waiting for. They're supposed to give me a call, and then I'll figure out how much everything's going to cost me, and then, I can figure out what type of surgery they're doing, one or the other, and I can then anticipate how long the recovery time might be, depending on what specific procedure they're doing, and we'll go from there. But anyway, that's going to be on the 26th. So, 11 days from now. 11 days from now, I'll be going into that. Where are we at with this? Okay, so I added knife pivot oil to this, and you can, again, it didn't really need this for the movement, but even then it made it even smoother. That blade just drops when I hit that button. So that's all I generally really need to do when it comes to a modern knife. Now, it depends also on the steel of the blade. Now, this is a 14C28 on steel, which is a nicely corrosion resistant steel. It's a stainless steel, so I don't have to worry about really oiling the blade or waxing it or anything in order to protect it. They're generally pretty good. Now, obviously, if I get the blade wet or drop it in mud, you do want to dry it off and clean it off completely, because even stainless steel will eventually rust if it's not taken care of. But it's a lot more forgiving than, say, a high carbon non-stainless steel. The case I know is stainless. The 3CR13 or it's not MOV, but 3CR13 I know is stainless or moderately stainless. So there's really no need for me to oil or wax any of the blades that I just got today. They should be fine without it. Again, as long as you're keeping them dry and you wipe them down after every use, you should be golden. Things like D2 steel, which are stainless or semi-stainless or high carbon steels. What I would do is, if I had a blade with, like, say, D2 or other non-stainless steel, I would usually then wax the blade. I like to use wax. Some people like using oil. I like to use wax for the majority of the blade, and if it's a place that's hard for me to reach, I'll use oil for those parts, because wax doesn't run anywhere. It just stays where you put it. But wax is really great for neutralizing fingerprints, which oil won't do. So that's why I like using wax. When I use a wax, I use a paste wax. I happen to have a ton of Wicked wax, so that's what I use. This is great when it comes to protecting knives. Like I said, it'll neutralize fingerprints. I tend to have, actually, surprisingly corrosive fingerprints. I mean, almost to the point of a superpower. I know if I leave a fingerprint on something for too long, it's going to start becoming permanent. I'm going to have issues. So I make sure I wipe my blades down all the time. And if it's not a stainless steel, I give it a good waxing, and that generally prevents anything from happening. I haven't really had, I don't recall any issue, thankfully, with corrosion on any of the blades that I have ever since learning about, like, the wax. I used to use oil all the time, like that oil I was using on the case earlier. I would use mineral oil all the time. That usually worked pretty well. But the problem with oil is it seems like I have to, if I use just oil, it has to be replaced or re-oiled more frequently depending on the conditions. If it's something that I'm using, I would have to generally re-oil it pretty much after I've wiped it clean. I'd apply a little bit of oil every time. Wax seems to stick around a little bit longer. Unless I use the knife on something exceptionally dirty, then yeah, I would re-wax it. But a lot of times it'll stick around for a bit longer and keep the blade protected a little bit longer before I have to re-wax it. I also find that wax is great for items that don't get used for a lot, like they get kept in storage. Wax, I think, does a better job of keeping knives corrosion free. If you're keeping them in boxes or cases or things like that. Display wise, if I'm displaying a knife in like a windowed or glass display, I have something completely different that I like to use. And that is, I discovered this stuff called, it's from KP, all the same stuff, same people that make the knife pivot lube. This is called Knife Shield. Now, this can be also kind of pricey. I think around like $15 for the spray bottle. And you always have to give it a good shake because there's this sediment in there, or whatever they use, that settles to the bottom. But you give it a good shake, give the blade a few sprays, let it sit for, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, and then wipe off the excess. And I've been testing this out for the past like year about. And on some knives that I keep out. And so far, it's been pretty good. I haven't noticed any like pitting, any rust spots or anything like that, even in areas where dust might settle on the blade. Because dust is really terrible when it comes to corroding blades, believe it or not. Because if you have dust settling on a naked blade, especially if it's even a stainless steel blade, because I've actually had this happen to a stainless steel blade. What will happen is dust will settle on the blade, and if it's not wiped off and it just sits there, dust will actually absorb moisture from the air. And so if you have dust particles just in constant contact with the blade, not being wiped off or anything, it'll continue to slowly absorb moisture in the air, and it's like a little wet sponge that just sits in that spot. And eventually you'll have little rust spots everywhere on your blade. So one thing you want to make sure is if you have your knives sitting out on display and they're not covered or protected by anything like glass or whatever, make sure you wipe the dust off regularly to prevent dust from collecting moisture and pitting the blade, putting little rust spots in there. And if you're worried about how the blade looks because it's on display, I would highly recommend this stuff or an oil. One thing with wax is is usually pretty easy to see on the blade. It kind of dulls the blade shine a bit because it's a wax. So if you want things to look nice and shiny while on display, Knife Shield I recommend highly. That's been working great so far. Or a knife oil like the Camellia oil that I was using before. That works really well, and it won't make your blade look really hazy like wax will. So if you're not worried about looks, wax is definitely the way to go. If you're worried about looks because it's on display all the time, then Knife Shield or an oil. Just wipe it down, and you're pretty golden. And no worries, I'm always going off on tangents. I'm always going off on tangents. You should know me by now. But that's what I use to protect my stuff and how I use to maintain my stuff. And actually, these would be a bad idea. I was carrying this quite a lot. I haven't done anything with this in a while. If I carry a knife a lot, I'll usually, like, a lot of times I'll carry a certain couple knives and I'll carry it for that entire week. Like I did with this one. Now, this one I wasn't carrying this last week. I'm just using it as a representative of what I was carrying last week, but I have carried this quite a bit and haven't gone over it. Usually what I'll do is after I've carried it, I'll give them a once over and make sure that because they've been in my pocket, that there's no balls of lint or pocket lint stuck anywhere, things like that. And depending on how dirty the blade might be from use or having been in my pocket, I might add another drop of oil to the pivot and then brush them clean like I'm doing with this one. And we'll brush that pivot area. Wipe off any excess. Where'd rag go? And like I said, I haven't gone over this one probably in a couple of weeks. There's a little gunk in there. Doesn't take much though to clean it off. I'll just make sure there's nothing in the well and that the well remains pretty clean. This shouldn't be so bad. Maybe a little bit of whatever in there. Maybe a little bit of lint in there, but not bad. I usually keep my slip joints in a leather slip. This is a leather slip. If I'm putting one of these in my pocket, they usually go in something like this. And the reason why I use these is they protect the knife from anything else that might be in my pocket. And 2, they protect everything else that might be in my pocket from the knife. So I don't have to worry about things getting super scratched up or mucked up because I have a knife sitting there banging against everything, or a bunch of coins banging against the knife or whatever. So I throw it in a slip like this. That protects everything in my pocket and also helps to keep it pretty clean. These, if anything, tend to get more dirty than anything else. Like, I've had this in my pocket for the last week, and I could already see quite a bit of lint collecting inside the blade well. And so I'll just take a dry brush this time, and I'll just swipe down and swipe out any dust that's, quite a bit in there, along in the liners and around the pivot area, just to keep it clean. I don't like taking these things apart if I don't have to. So I do this as a preventative, because I know if a lot of dust starts to collect in here, like you can see, there's a lot of dust that this is picking up, a lot of lint. Let's grab another brush. You'll see the start of this one. Just a tiny brush head on this. I'll run this through the well. You can see probably how much this ends up picking up. But I do this to prevent having to open up the knife. So I don't like opening this up if I don't have to. And make sure the lock area is nice and clean. It's amazing, especially with these knives that you clip to your pocket, just how much stuff ends up getting stuck inside, even if you don't really use the knife all that much. There you go. That picked up quite a lot. And that was just from 1 week of having it in my pocket, maybe taking it out of my pocket a few times to do stuff with it. Doesn't take long. And most of my other knives I keep clean by keeping them in a case. So I generally don't have to worry about cleaning a knife until I actually end up tossing it in my pocket to carry around with me. This makes for a nice relaxing time too. Just taking a little bit of time to go over here, clean off my stuff. Kind of like when I'm doing firearms and I'm cleaning my firearms. It's kind of like a Zen moment. Yeah, quite a lot of dust in that sucker. And then checking function. I mean, this still feels perfectly fine. One of the few knives I can still flick open. And I'll probably go ahead and just add a drop of oil to the pivot again for shites and giggles. Probably doesn't need it, but these, so when it comes to Spyderco, the pivots aren't too much of an issue when it comes to gunk getting in them, because they don't use bearings. They actually use what do they call that? Washers. And so dirt actually has a really hard time getting into the pivot, since the washers, there's a lot of contact between the washers. The cool thing about Spyderco, though, is even with washers, these things are surprisingly, I say that and it doesn't want to drop, but that's me pinching it. surprisingly super smooth and silky smooth. I mean, just as good as any of my other knives that have bearings in them, and in a lot of cases even better than some of the knives that I have with ceramic ball bearings in them. They're just silky smooth. They work beautifully. Freaking, I wasn't sure about Spyderco because I've always thought Spyderco looked goofy as hell. I mean, they're definitely not the prettiest knives in my collection, but after getting my first Spyderco was this PM3 and the Sage 5, I now have 7 or 8 of them because they've been absolutely fantastic knives. Great hard-working folders. So that's all taken care of. There's a little bit more crap over there. A little more lint. There we go. Get that off. And the space is so tight between those washers that even just a drop of oil and a majority of it's already going to get pushed out. It really doesn't take much, especially on these Spyderco. So just having to remove some of that excess oil. But love those knives. So there we go. So what's up with everybody else? You're really digging the purple chicken fried? I couldn't recommend these more. The Mini Griffin. If you're in the market for, I think it's my turn. You get something that that I'm suggesting. These are fantastic knives. Won't go wrong. Like I said, surprisingly ergonomic and feel really good in the hand. For me, and they just look cool. Other than the fact that they are really great blades, flat ground, nice point, kind of like a little harpoon. You got a little bit of a shelf there that, when you're choking up on the blade, you have a generous finger choil here that's surprisingly comfortable, even though it's not like round, and a nice shelf for your thumb, allowing you to choke up really nice for really detailed cutting, or even some jimping back here. So if you hold it out this way, I still have a full grip, even though this is the Mini Griffin. I still have a nice full grip here and a little bit of jimping back here for the thumb. And even though the button kind of rises out relatively prominently when the blade's open, when I'm holding the knife in different positions, even with a Gorilla Grip, my hand really doesn't come close to it doesn't come close to pressing that button down. So I can't imagine really hitting that on accident. So here with a Gorilla Grip, my hand's nowhere near it. If I'm choked up on the blade, again, my fingers aren't anywhere near that button. And if I'm writing back a little bit, so my thumb is on the jimping, again, my finger isn't anywhere near that button again. So I used to think that, that button sitting out pretty much, am I going to accidentally hit that? But after using and carrying the knife for quite some time, realized that that's a non-issue. So love these blades. I've carried that black and white one a lot. Again, this one just came in last week. I call it the Stormtrooper. A lot of people have called it the Stormtrooper just because of the color scheme on this. But this one I've carried a lot. The funny thing is I've used this quite a bit, and I'm not seeing much in terms of scratches on this blade. This blade still looks freaking new. I know. I see a little bit of smudging, but not much. Just a bare amount of smudging. But I've used this quite a bit and haven't had to do much other than light honing or stropping to keep it sharp. It's really easy to maintain, again, because it's 14C28N steel. Not much on branding on the blade. 14C28N shows up here. But I know I've used this quite a lot. The coating's holding up pretty well. Normally, I don't even like coated blades. But I just really like the look of that black and white one. And here, you can see the branding. Not much branding, just a little symbol by the pivot. And we have, what's on this side? Focus, Griffin. And then on the flipper, we have 14C28 on there. So not much in branding. So if you like a nice, clean-looking blade, this is about as clean as they can get. They're pretty good on that. No huge advertisements or anything. And again, super comfortable. Love this knife. Now, if you do want something with more premium steel, they do have them in M390. These are the budget versions with the G10 scales, but they do have them with the M390 steel with titanium scales and a lot of times varying types of insert, usually like a carbon fiber insert, like would be in this area where this black G10. But you are going to be paying quite a bit more for the premium versions. Let me check on what the price is on those, because I can't even recall what I paid for mine. I know when I got my premium one, I got that from Blade City. I'll have to take a quick look again, because I know they haven't been available since they went out. Those things sold up fast. The Mini Griffin, like these here, this one on Kato's website is running for $78.99. Same price. I think it's the same price for all of them. Yeah, $78.99, which actually I think is a little less. I think they dropped down a little bit, because I could have sworn I paid a little bit more for this one. I can't recall, but $78.99 for the G10 14C28 and steel versions. If you're looking for the premium versions with the M390 steel, that is going to run you about 200. Well, between 195 to 215, depending on the particular colorway that you're looking for. They have got several different colors, color combinations, some with blackened blades. I believe the blackened blades might be DLC coated, but I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. The coating on the blades are going to be a DLC or TIC coating. Again, titanium scales. Let me see, where's mine? So the premium version, you're going to have, in my case, this is a TIC coating, titanium coating, instead of DLC, which is diamond light coating, titanium scales, carbon fiber insert, but they'll just be in different colors other than this one. With blackened blades or satin blades and different colored inserts in hardware. But yeah, those are going to run just under $200 to just over $200 for the premium versions, if you're looking for something with a much more premium steel, the M390 steel. Either way, fantastic knife. This is the Mini Griffin. They do have a regular sized Griffin if you want something a little bigger. And they do have premium and G10 versions of the regular size Griffin. Otherwise, they're going to be a little bit more expensive, but they are going to be bigger in size, similar materials. I think on these, the blade size was what? Trying to remember. I think it was just under 3 inches. These have a 2.95 inch blade. The regular Griffins are going to be, I know they're over 3 inches. I just don't know. 3.54 inches on the regular size Griffin. So if you want something even a little bigger, They make a regular size Griffin, and they also have budget versions as well as premiums. The budget versions will run you about $96, while the premium versions of the regular size Griffin are going to run you about $250 all the way up to $350, depending on the materials like the scales, coatings, things like that. So I could not recommend them more. They are one of my favorite knives in my collection to actually use. I was so excited to get another one at a really good price too. And I just realized I don't have space in my case for that one, which means I'll be carrying one of these around a lot. I'm running out of spaces in my cases. I'm gonna have to start. I gotta get some more cases. In fact, I gotta get more cases. I gotta get more displays because I've run out of display cases. I've run out of regular cases. I'm starting to overflow in like knives that are still sitting in their boxes because I have nowhere to put them. Collector's problems. Odd collector's problems. All right. So, any questions? I know we've hit 5 o'clock. Usually, I get these going. I continue to get these going for like till about 6 o'clock. I know I didn't really have a whole lot prepared for this one, so I'm not doing any customizations or anything like that. So, if you have any questions on my knives or knives you've heard about, we can talk about stuff that's coming out in the market. I know Jack Wolf is coming out with a new. I almost forgot about that. They're coming out with another gateway knife already, called, if I remember correctly, the Eureka. And I'm going to give you guys a little help because the Eureka from Jack Wolf's Knives is another gateway knife. And what I mean by gateway knife, it's another one of their budget knives, because usually a Jack Wolf knife, their premium knives are usually run anywhere from $150, I think was the lowest priced one I saw. And I've seen them go upwards of $350 to like $450 for a Jack Wolf knife. Gateway knives are budget-minded knives that Jack Wolf releases every now and then, and they run for roughly around $80, which makes them much more easy to acquire financially. The only problem is they generally only release them, it seems like, in batches. So usually once they're gone and sold out, they are gone. And the gateways tend to sell relatively quick. But when was the date? So I'm going to give you guys a heads up. If you're looking for a new gateway knife from Jack Wolf, they are supposed to release. Where's my calendar? Because I put it in my calendar. I forgot where I put my calendar. There we are. They are supposed to release on this month, I believe, on the 21st, which is a Friday, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to get a handle, pun intended, if you want to get a chance at getting a new Jack Wolf gateway knife, the model's called the Eureka, and it's similar to the last gateway knife that was released, which was called the Gateway Stockman. And I believe, hold on a second. Again, they're very similar, except it has a different profile blade on the Eureka. Where's my Stockman? Let me grab my Gateway Stockman here, and I can show you a little better. I obviously don't have a Eureka yet because they haven't been released yet. But here's my Gateway Stockman. This one has a clip point blade. Unlike a regular Stockman, they have a Stockman shape, but it's a single blade clip point with a half stop, as you can see here. The Eureka is going to have a more of a rounded handle at the end here. I'm trying to think of what would be like a comparison. So as opposed to this squared off end, it's going to have a more rounded end to it here, and kind of like a recurve on the back, and a little bit of more of a rounded belly here with a drop point style blade as opposed to a clip point. The blade is going to be 14C28 and steel. They're going to run about $80, I believe, depending on the material, because they're going to come in different materials. Like this one is called a root beer Kieranite. I don't think they're coming out with a root beer Kieranite on this one, on the Eureka. They're going to have a purple bone for 80. They're going to have a camo carbon watermelon sugar, which is similar to my other gateway knife. They're going to have a watermelon sugar. That's going to run about 85. They're going to have an orange linen micarta that's going to be running around 75. So depending on the knife, it's going to be between $75 to $85. Smooth purple bone, camo carbon watermelon sugar, Bengal orange linen micarta. They'll have an ebony wood scale, an abalone, and a red jig bone. So you'll have 6 different versions of the Eureka, ranging from $75 to $85, depending on the version you're looking for. The cheapest version is going to be that orange linen micarta at $75. The most expensive ones, running at $85, are going to be the camo carbon watermelon sugar and the abalone, with everything else like the red jig bone, the ebony wood, which I'm really intrigued by the ebony wood because I love ebony, and the smooth purple bone, all running at $80. So that's really not this one, but the Eureka from Jack Wolf will be releasing on the 20th. I said the 21st. Where'd my calendar go? On the 21st of this month. So less than a week from now, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's the time I'm looking at. Knife Center is where I'll probably end up picking mine up. But they're supposed to release from various retailers, because I know various retailers carry them at 1 p.m. Central Standard. So if you want a chance at a Gateway Eureka, at a brand new one, that's the time to set on your calendar. And give me a minute. I've been drinking actually a lot of water, so I will be right back. Just take a quick emptying out. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So think that's going to be pretty much it, unless anybody has any questions on anything that they saw today or any questions on knives in general. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. I'm always learning something new every day, but I have been collecting for quite a few years. So I might have some information that could be useful. Maybe, hopefully. But ask away. I don't shy away from any questions if anybody's got them. I love just chatting about knives. And I just saw Terry Rose put up a picture on Discord of, what do they call those from Star Trek? What were they called? Good grief. Klingon, it was a ceremonial Klingon weapon that looks like something that really shouldn't work. They're like a pair of deer antlers or something. I forgot what they were called. Oh, that's a knife. But yeah, if you have any questions on my collection or any questions in general, ask away. This is partially how I learned. Oh, another thing before I forget, for those that like to collect knives, told you guys about the release date for the Jack Wolf Gateway. But for somebody that's currently itching for a knife, for a new knife, National Knife Day is here. And Concept, if you're familiar with Concept knives, I have quite a few Concept knives myself. They're another one of my favorite manufacturers. They are currently holding a sale on some exclusive limited time, or with some exclusive limited time prices. They're going to be running the sale from, it just started today, from the 15th. It's going to be running until August 25th. They do have a limited stock, and I'm already seeing a couple things sold out that did not take very long because this literally just started. But Concept, Kansept, celebrating National Knife Day with a very big sale, saving anywhere, it looks like, from 30 or 13% all the way up to 50% on some of their knives. And they have some absolutely amazing premium knives. To give you an idea, they have a Model 6 with an S35VN blade and titanium scales. Normally it's going for $166.89 on their website. It's now running at $83.45. But a bunch of their knives are hitting up to 50% off, again, depending on the model. Hey, Ground Fog, how you doing? So if you're looking for a good price on a Concept knife, now is the time to check out their website, because they're having a hell of an awesome sale that I would really like to take advantage of now that I'm looking at some of these blades. There's a lot of knives here that I've had on my wish list for a while now. Oh my God, they have a Kratos knife. That looks beautiful. That's a very pretty looking blade. But again, great sale going on at Concept right now. I was just checking them out. Again, if you're looking for a way to save some money on some new knives. I'm not sponsored by any of these guys, by the way. I like hunting for deals. And if I see a good deal on knives and stuff, I have no problems passing that along, because I know how hard it is sometimes to find a good deal on some of this stuff. So if I can help anybody else out when it comes to finding a nice new knife, I will do my best to do so. They've got quite a few, oh my God, knives that have a pretty nice sale or pretty nice price going on. Like 3 pages of knives that I'm seeing so far. But again, they do have limited quantities on these, on a lot of these. So if you're looking for a Concept like a cassowary, for example, they've only got 2 left, so that's quickly getting sold out. And shit, I really wish I wasn't having surgery now. because there's quite a few knives on this sale that are knives that I've been wanting for a bit, for quite a bit. And this sucks. The Fermi, Osprey is another one. Bulldozer was a really interesting one. Some of these are pretty big. Cassowaries are another model. Etchis. Trying to see if they have another mini cryo. I have one of those. Those are amazing little knives. Ooh, even they're overbuilt. I don't even know how to pronounce it. A RAF. Looks it's a 2.6-inch blade. It looks kind of like almost like it was overbuilt a bit. With is that a bottle opener? For $70. Normally $120. But yeah, go check out Concept Knives. I think it was at conceptknives.com. Again, I'm not sponsored, not affiliated with any. I just really like Concept Knives, and they've got an awesome sale going on. Go check them out. Any other things happening? Let's see. I have, I think that's the only one. There should be other retailers, I would think, that are, or that would be holding sales, but for some odd reason, I'm not seeing many. Let me take a look here. Knife Center has a bunch of stuff going on, but I think there's, what were they limited to? I do a lot with Knife Center because I get some pretty good prices. They also have a really good selection. All their cold steel is currently on sale, so if you're looking for something cold steel, same with quite a lot of Kaiser. And those are the big sales that I'm seeing right now from them anyway, from Knife Center. Some interesting new stuff too. Get a free cold steel Kudu light slip joint folder with any order over $150. Well, darn it. I don't need to be spending any more money. At least not yet. Oh my God. I got to figure out how much this stupid surgery is going to be, so then I can plan a little better. Because it's killing me. I'm going through like knife purchase withdrawals, which is kind of sad, really. That goes in the box for now because I have nowhere to display that. I think I'll probably be carrying this in my pocket. This might be my pocket carry for next week. Just because I love this thing. I haven't even checked. How's the blade on this thing? Normally they're really good right out of the box, but I haven't tested this out. Time for some more paper ASMR. Oh, that swims right through. Really sharp edge on this one. I dare say that's hair shaving out of the box. Yep. I can shave what little hair I have off my arm with barely any effort. I see a little hair there. That is a sharp blade. And that just swims right through. I'm testing the entire edge. No hang-ups anywhere. And really clean on the edge after going through the paper. I'm not seeing very much, a little bit, but not very much debris on the edge there. That is sharp, sharp, sharp out of the box without having to do a single thing to it. That I would like to see. I wish Case did. I don't know. I know some people have said that there's a reasoning why they leave a burr on their knives, but I mean, so many are able to come out with a crazy sharp edge out of the box. I don't know why Case doesn't do that, but not that it's hard to get a laser sharp edge on a Case knife. I just don't know why they don't take the time. I still love Case. I know I rag on Case a lot, but I love them. Especially, this knife is just gorgeous. Absolutely pretty knife. I am still seeing maybe I didn't get rid of that roll entirely, but that is, or either that's just a play of the light. Might just be a play of the light. But anyway, absolutely gorgeous blade. But let me know any questions. Otherwise, I think we might be ending this pretty soon. We're approaching about we're at 5:20 right now, approaching 5:30. And I know I've still got a busy late afternoon ahead of me with cleaning and dinner and stuff. So if there's any questions on anything that you've seen, anything you'd like to know about, let me know now. Otherwise, while I'm waiting to hear from any of you guys, I'm going to go take a quick look at... Oh, okay. I'm going to take a quick look here, and we'll see who is currently live right now, and then we will probably go ahead and raid into them. So I know Crow's Blades is usually streaming live right about now. So let me take a look and see who's up. Gonna do a quick check. Yep, Crow's Blades is on right now. So what I'll do, I'm going to say thank you guys so much again for joining me. Hope you guys had fun watching. If you liked what you saw, please drop a like down below. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, or hit that like button and that subscribe button. And that way you'll be notified as soon as I drop a new video or go on live, which I'll do next week, again at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to try to work on some videos this week. I know I have a couple videos I'd like to edit. I just haven't had the time. It's been super busy. But hopefully I can get a couple videos out this week. And because I know I'm going to be getting some new stuff this week. One of them might even be that flashlight. And if I can, I'll do a video on that flashlight. But otherwise, I'll definitely be doing a live again next Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to come by and chat then, we can talk knives or other EDC stuff. And that next week, where's my calendar again? Next weekend will be the last live before my surgery. So yeah. Okay. We'll see you again next week, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope to see you guys there. Let's go raid Ron Crow. Thanks again, guys, for all your support. Thanks for sticking around with me and just chatting with me. I love doing this again. You guys are super amazing. Yeah, the last time I'm going to be talking about knives before I go under the knife. You guys, again, super amazing. Let's go say hi to Ron Crow. Send out the squirrels when you get to his channel. Let him know I sent you. But thanks again, guys. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. You guys take care, stay safe, and bye. I really need to make an outro for this, but sooner or later.